Mic check, mic check, mic check. That's the echo, man. That's that echo, man. Got to give the people, get the people what they want. Got to give the people, get the people what they want. Perfect Summer Podcast with the blast on your ass one more time. Taco Tuesday, what's cracking? Watch your Taco Tuesday. Everybody need to watch your taco, prepare taco, eat a taco, taco for you. You get a taco, you get a taco, 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 taco. Let's do our station identification, man. What's up with my boy Kissy and ready to chat? First in the chat, first in the chat, first in the building. Hit 5 in the chat if you're first, man. If you're not first, you're last. If you're not first, you're last, man. KB from KC5 in the fucking chat, man. What's up, man? Thank you for sponsoring the show. Thank you for the cash app. Big Ken, that's my brother. He be sending me cash apps all the time. Thank you for the minis and cash apps and supporting the channel. It ain't always about the amount of money, man. It be about the support, man. It be about the love. It be about the genuine gesture, you know, from a real one, especially from people who I respect their intellect. Like J Doe sent me a cash app. J Doe sent me a nice cash app too. You know what I'm saying? I think he might have sent me a 50 piece, but it was the fact that J Doe, like KP from KC5 and Ken, has high level comprehension aptitude, and he always is actually listening and commenting on the actual subject matter, but in an expansive, intelligent way. So it meant so much to get something like that from someone with such a high intellect and aptitude. You know what I'm saying? Because I know these individuals are paying attention, right? Are listening, right? And not listening in a way to critique, but in a way to, but even though if they offer critique is welcome, but in a way to, like, you know, benefit the content creator and the listener. So it means a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's a double. It's twofold when you get something like that from somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you earn a passage through something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one thing to get a gift from your mom, right? But it's something else when you get a gift from your grandmother, because grandma was harder on you. You know what I'm saying? Mom might give you a pass, or the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Grandma might be easier on you, but mom, you know what I'm saying? So it's those levels in life. With certain levels, you know what I'm saying, you respect it, you know what I'm saying, but when you get that admiration from somebody on that certain level, it's like, okay, it's that head nod, you know what I'm saying? I remember when I first started, the brother, I don't even see his brother named Last Crucible. He helped Black Ram in the beginning, and he was influential with Black Ram 313. And I don't know how he found my content, but Last Crucible found my content, and he started like giving me mentorship in my very beginning stages. So people don't even know, before I even got and fuck with the Roger Report and the content I was doing, you know, it was people who reached out to me, and Last Crucible was one of those people who really tapped in with me and really like gave me some mentorship about the space and about what man had already done in the space, because he really felt where I was coming from, and he like really respected a lot of the content I was creating. So I put you guys on the same level as that. I haven't seen that brother in a long time, but much love to Last Crucible, KP, Ken, all of the brothers, Rob, all of the brothers who been holding it down and supporting the 5.0 journey, because it's been a hell of a journey, not just like in a virtual sense, but in a physical, spiritual sense. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the goal, as we talk about money, is a financial existential journey and experience also that is coming. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. You know what I'm saying? You know, the blessings is coming, man. Blessings upon blessings, man. Prayers go up, blessings come down, man. That's the math, man. You know. So I know that expansion is coming for me in my life, but you know, I'm not worried about when that financial expansion is coming, because I know the gift is already here. So the promise is going to come, because that's the mathematics. You know what I'm saying? You're rewarded for your gifts as you put efforts forward and you work diligently on your gift. You're rewarded for your gift, regardless of what that gift may be. Some people are prolific in lovemaking. Some people are prolific in singing and songwriting. Some people are prolific in literature. You know what I'm saying? And you fine tune those things and you're rewarded for your gift. So what this experience, this journey of Apothos, I seen G the other day. This is fine tuning the gift. This is tuning the heart. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The drum, you know. Yeah, I was a percussion. Not what I am. I'm a percussionist. You know what I'm saying? I played the timpanis in the band, the symphony. I played the timpani in the symphony on your bitch, man. Boy, it went down this one time at band camp. Yeah, I was a percussionist, man. So I played the snare drum in the marching band, and you know, you tune the drum on the side, them little metal things. And, you know what I'm saying? The cute girls will always be in the woodwinds, man. Tell me if I'm lying if it wasn't some baddies in the woodwinds, man. The woodwinds, the reeds, you know what I'm saying? These is the baddies that had like a mouth fetish, you know what I'm saying? They always gotta have something in their mouth. So the woodwind, that's the clarinet, the flutes, and then the not the flute, but a clarinet. What else? It's like the thing that you gotta have a reed, and you couldn't lose your reed. The reed gotta be wet. And it's this whole thing, this oral fixation, you know what I'm saying? There was some baddies in that, there was some baddies. With an oral fixation, keep your reed wet, man, keep you wet, and wet my whistle. Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? I need one of them baddies that know how to wet their whistle, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, the woodwinds. It was always some baddies in the woodwinds. You know what I'm saying, man? But the reeds, the flutes had some baddies too. The flutes was prissy though. You know what I'm saying? Suzanne, you never come for a bitch named Susan, nigga. You know what I'm saying? They choosing, nigga, but you never come for a bitch named Susan, nigga. They choosing, nigga. So you know, them they was in the flutes, you know what I'm saying? And that was who was in the flutes, you know what I mean? I had a flutist, you know what I'm saying? I had one. I did, but I preferred the woodwinds. I tell you, boy, because that's what this was my problem, you know what I'm saying? Because I should have stuck with Susan from the beginning. But you know who was in the woodwinds? Who was in the woodwinds? Gina Big Head Ass. Yeah, the light, bright, funky, big tail motherfuckers was in the woodwinds, man. So, you know, it was a thing then, you know, the Beyonce, Be My Fiance. We don't talk about the colorism anymore, man, but that light, bright, almost white, man, look tonight, man, that was the look, man. Gina, man, big head ass, man. Yeah, man, she played that woodwind, man. She had a reed, she had an oral fixation, man. She knew how to keep it wet, man. She knew how to wet her whistle, man. I should have stuck with Susan, man. They choosing, man. But you never come a bitch named Susan, right? So that was my fault, man. I should have fucked with Susan, man. There's nothing wrong with Susan. Nothing wrong with the flute. I know the woodwinds is the shit, though. But, you know, I was a percussionist, so I'm all the way in the back. You know what I'm saying? And that timpani drum, I'll be on that timpani. And he taught me how to play the timpani with style. You know what I'm saying? Because you play... and everybody be looking back at me, oh, bitches. This one time at band camp, I never knew. My father, you know, he was into music because he was, you know, I'm an 80s baby. And then, but, you know, Richard Pryor, they would stand on the corner and sing. If you ever seen Cooley High, ooh, shadu, 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 they be on the corner singing, drinking, you know what I'm saying, Code 45 or Mad Dog 2020, and then sing, oh, baby, you know what I'm saying, and come up with a two-step for a bitch, you know what I'm saying? And that was like real cool. So you have to play an instrument. This is the Jacksons, you know, with Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson. So everybody was on the corner singing in New Jack City in the beginning. They singing by the fire. Ooh, New Jack City. You know what I'm saying? They singing. This is what, so you had to be cool. You know, had to sing, act, dance, play an instrument. So my dad was like, man, you gotta play. But it was an enriching experience because a lot of times with instruments, using both hands, so you have to engage both sides of your brain, and that's when I started learning about hemispheres and right brain and left brain, and having intelligent band teachers who understood thought and aptitude as it relates to musical ability, as it relates to intelligence and art. And now I want to be involved in music because now I'm always like math and intelligence. But as I see how music relates to intelligence and aptitude and left and right side of your brain, and how when you play a guitar, you play the side, and you got to use both hands and your brain, and you got to trick your brain to do this to get the sound to come out. And my musical teacher, he was a professor, PhD, and a black man, intelligent, suave, debonair. And he was like, I don't know if you're going to make it in the band. And this is the whole experience. Like, I'm overweight, I'm fat, and it's like always being included. So you don't just get into the band. You gotta get into the band like drumline. To be on the drums, I had to play it. And there was a white girl who was better than me. She beat me initially on the drum line. And the black man laughed at me. I had to go practice, get better, and I beat her. She was upset. She was depressed. I was supposed to win, but she didn't give a fuck about none of that shit. She was like the Eminem of drums. Yeah, man, I had to beat the white bitch just to get on the drum team, man. And he was like, no, this is not about just coming in. You don't just get accepted. Yesterday I told you about signing up versus an application. And he's like, nah, you gotta audition. So a couple things we got in the lexicon of 5.0 right now. Sign up, apply via application, and then audition. Now, you could apply that in your life in all type of ways. If you want to come at it from, shout out to my brother, Sir Ism. If you want to come at it from a perspective of the P, you know what I'm saying? You gotta say a man gotta sign up, a man gonna have to apply, or a man gonna have to audition. If you a baddie, right? Or on to flip it around, if you a P out there, you might be saying to the women, a woman gonna have to sign up. You know what I'm saying? Sign up with your qualifications and your identification, or you're gonna have to apply for the administration. Apply with an application, and in the application is a checkbox. Remember, the application got a checkbox. She gonna check white, she gonna check black, she gonna check fat, she gonna check skinny. Check your boxes on the application. Now remember what I told you. Everybody don't got to apply. Everybody don't got to apply. Come on now. Everybody don't got to apply. The millionaire, the rapper, Little Baby is not filling out an application for no coochie. Everybody don't got to apply. So now you got to audition. Now remember, Little Baby on his single, and said, this your first time to my house, baby girl, this your tryouts. So Little Baby is a type of P in the game, having it his way. He can offer a sign up, you know what I'm saying, a real 10, a real dime. I ain't got time, but because I'm Little Baby, I got $1 million on my schedule, but you can sign up. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have to apply. You a real dime. I got $1 million on my schedule, but you can sign up. Now you ain't quite a dime, but you fine, and I like your behind. You go ahead and fill out the application. Hey, cousin, run her through the meal and see if she come through. You feel what I'm saying? You feel? She got to go through an application process. Now you right there, you got a little spunk, you're a little jazzy, you might make the cut, but your butt gonna have to audition. Y'all heard what I'm talking about? So I had to audition. So y'all apply these things in your life, man. Apply this ism, man. Shout out to my brother, man. That Bay Water, I'm just running down, man. This why you hit the Cash App. This why you sponsor the show. So when you're in the barbershop, when you're hanging with the youngsters, and the youngsters be like, man, OG, you always got some real spill. What you got for us today? But I say, youngster, what you doing out here with these ladies, man? Is you having them sign up? You having them fill out an application? Are you running the real game, man, when you got ones auditioning for you? He gonna say, OG, what you talking about? That sound like some real slick shit, man. What you talking about? Have a bitch sign up, and then you break down, well, who gets to sign up, OG? Well, who has to fill out an application, huh? And what bitch got to audition for the P, man? Yeah, man, we just playing right now. We just having a good time, man. I see my brother RB in the building. Shout out to my brother RB, man. Yeah, man. Glorilla is dating Larry Elder. I got some red meat today. We had orange flesh yesterday. We got red meat today. Orange flesh yesterday, red meat today. Oh, I see nice some time in the building. It's a Bay Area affair, man. 41510 representatives, man. All up and down, man. I came to YouTube on a Glad sandwich bag. Game is all I had. Serving double ups to the num-nums. That's perfect timing in a nutshell. Serving double ups to the num-nums. I was riding on the 15 down 3rd Street, hopped off on 3rd and Newcomb, got to doing what I was doing. Hey, my partner got off the 54 and he said, we gonna get some more. This that Bay Area shit, man. If you ain't got the bitch signing up, man, and you ain't got the bitch applying for the position, look, man, look. Patrice O'Neal said, you needed a job. Y'all don't remember? I love Patrice O'Neal. You needed a job. What did I say to you the other day? Have y'all seen Orange is the New Bunghole? Well, I'm talking about the white girl. It's hilarious. Go watch Orange is the New Bunghole. She talking about licking a married man ass. His ass tasted so good, she was about to go buy him a boat. What did she say at the end? She said, what it really comes down to, you guys, is I'm single. I'm single. That's how rough it is out here, man. That's how rough it is out here. They out here licking the asses of married men. As we be breaking down this manosphere-ism and logic, and I think we forget about because you hear from so many people who not getting their ass licked. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough motherfuckers on YouTube who's actually getting their ass licked and having bitches buying boats. Now keep in mind, his wife was not gonna leave him, and his side bitch wanted to keep licking his ass. And she said, she wanted everybody to know, well, why are you doing this? She said, you guys, I'm just single. I'm very single. Actress, movies, millions. She's in a foreign, she has the ability to buy her side piece a boat. And you know what it came, this is what I did the story, because people were saying she's high, she's drunk, she's going through something. She told you what it was. She said, I'm single. I'm just very single. He wanted his butt licked, and I like doing it. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. These I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. This is what it is. This is what it is. Single. She said, I am very single. And that's when she got heartfelt. It was a joke about licking the butt. It was all fun and games about licking the butt. But when it came down to he not living his wife, and remember that black girl who jumped off the 2nd floor? And remember the black girl who blew up the car? Remember the black girl who jumped through the windshield? Tyrone, we still married. Tyrone called the police, said, man, I've been divorced from her for 6 months. She just showed up and started doing this. I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on. They single. They very single. And I don't think you got enough advice from real P's out here. You should have these bitches signing up, filling out an application, and auditioning. Are you an ass licker? Check the box. Will you lick ass? Monday night, you wanted a job. Patrice O'Neal said you needed a job. That's how single, that's how bad she wants a job. She will buy a boat and lick ass Monday night, 2 to 4 in the morning. I drink your last Snapple, get the fuck out. That's the job. And then it was going good, so I said to you, okay, bitch, I got a new position. You could, what's the new position, daddy? Okay, I'll come over Thursday, and I stay the night, and it's the same basic job. You lick my balls, you lick my ass, I drink your Snapple, but you don't have to get up and get out. And you took the job. You took the job. You took the job. He said, and you know what happened in the relationships? This is the birth of the manosphere. Patrice O'Neal said, you accepted the job, and you know what happened? You took the job, and you know what? You started working less and wanting more. Bitch, you started slicking less ass. You used to lick my ass every night from 2 in the morning to 4 in the morning, and you liked it. You told the whole world on Instagram, I like licking ass. Now, bitch, we in a 6-month relationship. It's Monday night, 2 a.m., You tired. You sleep. If you don't roll over and get the lick in this tank, oh shit! Patrice O'Neal was the GOAT, man. He said you took the job and you start doing less and wanting more compensation. The bitch said, I'm leaving. I'm gonna break up with you. They want more pay. I hired your punk ass at minimum wage. You went through an application process. I was good enough to you, bitch. I had multiple applicants, bitch. Bitch, I had multiple applicants, bitch. Bitch, I narrowed it down. I gave you the job. Patrice O'Neal said you accepted the job. You started wanting more and doing less. This is the birth of the manosphere, ladies and gentlemen. Understand, man. And it hasn't ended. I just played you a video of a millionaire actress, blonde, blue-eyed, white Aryan Barbie doll, licking balls and ass all day long. Licking balls and ass all day long. That's what they're doing. Because she was single. Very single. It's a lot to take away from that. It's a lot to take away from that. It's a lot to take away from that, man. It's a lot to take away from that. Patrice O'Neal said you needed a job. Bitch, you needed a job, bitch. You accepted the job. Remember, anybody go back to when you first met your little thing, man? Remember how you smashed? Man, the bitch did the most nasty, disgusting, around the world swirl and twirl. Now that's your baby, man. That's your wife, man. If you go to the club tonight, perfect time, and start talking that shit, you might sock him in his jaw right now. But I was with you. I was with you when you met the little thing, man. Your little bopper. She was bopping, and you whoopty-whoppty, and now you got 2 kids, and now that's the wifey. You know what I mean? Don't tell me, man. Don't tell me. I remember when she showed up and she wanted a Snapple. I remember what did Baby D said. Oh, you had a cheeseburger. It looked good. I wanted some. That's what it was about. It was about the cheeseburger. It was about the cheeseburger. I told you it was about the cheeseburger. It looked good and I wanted some. That's what it comes down to a lot of times. It looked good and it looked good. On my mama. On my hood, I look fly. I looked good. So our first story today, as we start off having a good old raucous 1990s golden era of hip-hop, raucous records, good time. As we start off on a Taco Tuesday, having a raucous records, good time, raucous records, good time, a 555 Soul 5.0 podcast afternoon experience. I said a 555 Soul podcast afternoon experience. I said a raucous records, good time. We're going to start off with Glorilla, who is dating, allegedly, the next president of the United States, Larry Elder, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck Tim Scott. We ain't want to talk about Tim Scott presidential campaign. Fuck the Professor Cornel West. He running for president. How many black men running for president? It don't fucking matter, because all we want to talk about is fucking stupid ass Charlemagne and the stupid ass Breakfast Club. Not Dr. Cornel West, not Senator Tim Scott. Let's laugh and joke about Larry Elder, who been on TV doing this same goddamn diatribe since Montel Jordan. I think he should run with Montel Jordan. He should either start fucking Glorilla or run with Montel Jordan. Vote in the poll. Vote in the poll right now. Would you vote for Larry Elder? You know what my favorite choice is? I would only vote for Larry Elder if and when he start dating and fucking Glorilla. That's the only way you could get my vote, Larry Elder. If she is licking your ass every day from 2 a.m. to 4 p.m. and you drink her last Snapple. All right, now, Glorilla has some advice for all the sexy ladies. All the sexy ladies. All the sexy ladies. She has some advice for all you nice young batches out there. You know what I mean? Get you a batch, knock a batch. And you know what you want to do? You want to get you a nice young batch. Shout out to my brother, sir, in the Bay Area. Bosses in the building, man. I came here on a glass sandwich bag. Let's listen to Glorilla and the advice that she has for the nice young batch.
How are you? Well, I'm gonna call my twin, and I just want to let y'all know: be toxic for the rest of your 20s. You only get one life. Live your toxic 20s. You never get to be 20 years old, 21, 22, 23, 24. None of that ever again in your life. Be toxic.
Be toxic. Live your toxic 20s. We starting this bitch off the right way. I said we had some red meat. Y'all got some red meat. Yesterday I had orange flesh. Today we got red meat. And I'm eating it. Rest in peace, Mama Shirley. I'm eating it like I'm from Mississippi because I'm from Mississippi. And I got some lemon and some salt. Red meat. Tell your mama we watching red meat.
Because don't get in your 30s thinking you could just go slashing tires and doing all this crazy shit. You too old for that now.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. So wait a minute. There is logic. Y'all, see, it's logic. There is logic behind this, y'all. It's y'all just not listen. Y'all old niggas don't understand. Old niggas don't understand this. This is a logical ideology and point of view. Your old niggas don't get it, man. Your old niggas don't get it. So she has, she start this out. There's mathematics behind this. She's counting 21 to 22 to 23 to 24. and she said you be toxic in your 20s. You be toxic in your 20s all you want. And then you be, what she say? And your 30s, you're too old to do that. So magically, it's like the Alabama riverboat brawl. Magically. See, this is what black people, this is the whole thing about Larry Elder. That's why we doing this topic today. Because black people believe in magic and hocus pocus and Santa Claus. Yeah, magically. Perfect is gonna happen magically. Magically, I'm a ratchet ass toxic bitch my whole 20s. And on the night of New Year's, like a wolf growling in the motherfucking moonlight, when I turn 30, I'ma magically become a woman with some sense. Does anybody else believe this nigga cotton picking, nigga picking ass shit? Does anybody hear this shit? 29 years old, at the crack of midnight, when the moon hits my yellow, ripe, red, peachy cherry ass, the whore will leave out of my asshole crackage. When you see the night mist, that is not air, that is the whore escaping from my ass butt circles. Yes, it's called the Great Whore Escape. It happens for all young hoes. Y'all didn't know about it? All young hoes go through this shit. Old niggas, all young hoes get to have body on top of body from 21 to 22 to 23. The bitch said to 24. And magically, it's like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and all the kids come to the pumpkin patch on their 29th birthday, and you watch they assholes open up in the whore escape from their bodies. And that morning, when the great glorious sun rises, we have nothing but sanctified, soft, beautiful, rejuvenated, family-building women. So Glorilla done solved the whole manosphere. You just gotta wait to the 29th of October, and the great pumpkin booty will open, and the whore will leave the vessel, and she will be ripe for marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Glorilla.
Now you too mature. Be toxic for the rest of your 20s. And if you're delusional, turn that shit up a notch. Enjoy the rest of your 20s. You only get to do this shit one time.
So what y'all feel about Gorilla said? Personally, for me, being toxic in your 20s, women, it might hurt you a little bit because you might get a bad rep, but hey, it depends on what you do. If you like what she says or not. But what y'all think? Hit the like button. Definitely want to hear you guys in the comments.
Hey, ladies, how
Now, I didn't even know that this super simp sucker was at the end of the video agreeing with the sentiment. This is the thing about it. So it's over. Game over. Game over. You see this little peanut head super simp sucker looking like Glorilla is about 3'5", 80 pounds. She'll probably stomp him out. And he's scared. Why you even put the video out if you can't even get the words out your mouth? I don't know what you want to do. What you mean you don't know? You the man, you the leader, and you don't know what to tell a bitch? You supposed to be making a apply, sign up, and audition for the goddamn job. What's wrong with these boys? What's wrong with these boys? Let's listen to Glorilla one more time. I ain't gonna stop. I'm gonna let it play all the way through so y'all can get the whole and a no.
on you? When I'm gonna call my twin, and I just want to let y'all know. Be toxic for the rest of your 20s. You only get one life. Live your toxic 20s. You never get to be 20 years old, 21, 22, 23, 24, none of that ever again in your life. Be toxic, because don't get in your 30s thinking you could just go slashing tires and doing all this crazy shit. You too old for that now. You too mature. Be toxic for the rest of your 20s. And if you delusional, turn that shit up a notch.
If you delusional, turn that shit up a notch. This was being taught to all of my youngsters out there, man, dating and single. I'm living a single life. Single girls, clap your hands. Yeah. Single girls, clap your hands. I'm living a single. She said, I'm very single. Life. So what's really happening in the video, y'all? Can we break it down? What's really happening in the video? She ho-po and she having a dick shortage. She ho-po and she having a dick shortage. So what do women do when they ho-po and they having a dick shortage? They say I'm gonna be toxic and just go full slut. Cause being a hoe ain't working, right? She been hoeing around, it ain't working. So she didn't ran dry. She didn't ran through, basically, being a hoe. Because this is the thing about her advice. And you young people hear it, think it's funny. I'm OG. I can read through the lines. I can unpack it. These are the words of a ran through, ladies and gentlemen. This is the advice of a ran through. Huh? And what you gonna do when the ran through come for you? She got ran through. So there is no alternative for a lot of run-throughs. This is when they move to Atlanta. This is when they move to New Mexico. Wherever they was in Chicago. They moved to Texas. This magical great pumpkin ass opening horror escaping can't happen in the city where they from. So they get on a magical bus. It's a chariot to whoredom. It's freeing them from being a whore, right? And they go to Houston, they go to Atlanta, they go to Austin, they go to these different places, and then as a 30-year-old, now they become the woman that they wasn't before. Because why couldn't they become a woman? Why couldn't this magical transformation, Glorilla, happen in the city where you grew up and got ran through? Well, perfect, you just said it, because I'm ran through. I was being toxic in my 20s, and I'm having sex every weekend with somebody new. There's no one left to have sex with. There's no one left to couple with. I didn't think about that as I was being toxic. Because think about the advice. I was being toxic. I wasn't hurting the men I was sleeping with. I actually was hurting myself. And she's advising women to be toxic, i.e., hurt themselves. cripple yourselves, abuse yourself, have multiple sexual partners, abusing your body, unclean. Remember, we was having fun yesterday. We was joking around. I said, why when we talk about the body count, why don't we never talk about the cleanliness? The term she used was toxic. Remember the Toxic Avenger from the 80s? That was Billy Blanks, right? Billy Blanks, Tybo Billy Blanks. Tybo Billy Blanks was the Toxic Avenger from our childhood. He was dirty. He came in nuclear sludge and garbage. His outfit was covered in garbage. That's your pussy. You're saying to me, your pussy is the Toxic Avenger. That's what you're saying. Your pussy is disgusting. You're saying my pussy is toxic. And you're advising your pussy, not my phallus, not me, but you're saying and you're promoting to your counterparts that they should have a toxic waste dump for a vagina. And they should have a toxic waste dump existence for their 20s, and somehow that's funny. That's fun. We celebrating that. Because that's what you're saying. Toxic Avenger. I know a lot of people in your age gonna laugh at it. I don't find it funny. I said yesterday, cleanliness is next to godliness. So why would you want to advise people to not be clean? To not be clean. The biggest thing that we don't talk about when we talk about being a virgin or being married, being wholesome, not having multiple partners. Y'all see the story in tech. Mr. Fantastic, shout out to KP, he be on Mr. Fantastic panel. Mr. Fantastic did a story, and I told my wife, I told you me and my wife be having debates, and she went right to the computer, did the research, and came back and was telling me about the 120% increase in STDs in Texas, in Houston. And she came back and she showed me, she's like, no, it's 1,000%. She was showing me all this shit. Like, it is crazy, the explosion of STDs. And it's not just it's in mostly in Atlanta. What is it? 80, 90% of the people have herpes in Atlanta. And now you have this explosion in Texas. The next thing you're going to hear coming out of Houston in these cities is like 80, 90% of the people below this age have herpes. The explosion is not herpes, it's syphilis. And there's other diseases. You hear about Sexy Red and the Chicago guy she's sleeping with, and how they got this trend of the men in Chicago getting an STD and keeping it and then giving it to women. Now, it's pain associated with an STD. So now you have all these things being popularized. Sexy Red talking about STDs, and she said, I ain't had no condom. I'm raw dog. So when you're advising, you got Texas, you got these 120% increases in STDs. Look it up. I mean, it's not a believable number. It's like the Portland number. When me and my wife were having a debate, it's like the Portland number. When I gave you the story on Portland, and people, should be coming up in these Democratic debates in the presidential election. What do you think about Portland? What do you think about the liberal woke bastion cities who took in the Black Lives Matter talking points holistically and wholeheartedly, defunded police, decriminalized crime, have legalized open-air drug markets, and now they are suffering, i.e. San Francisco and Portland. Portland had a 200% increase in homicide. Open-air drug markets, rampant homelessness. That is a question for these presidential candidates. What about Portland, and how do you control? I just seen San Leandro Police Department, Northern California. Nice sometimes Oakland Police Department. San Leandro Police Department has commercials on YouTube. You know how much they paying? They paying millions of dollars. It's $2 million to be a police officer in Portland. Oakland is offering $250,000 to be a police officer. Vallejo, they can't hire. This is why San Leandro is advertising via YouTube. Anybody seen these YouTube commercials? They the weirdest shit. It's a black man who's a chief. Hey, I'm chief of police in San Leandro. Do you want a job? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. This is what's going on in America. I think we talking about the wrong shit. We really on the wrong shit. Larry Elder That's why I said red meat. This is my watermelon. I know I look good. Don't nobody love me. I love me. You motherfuckers supposed to tell me how good I look and I lost weight on this motherfucking watermelon fast, motherfuckers. Oh, perfect. You look good. Perfect. Oh, perfect. You lost weight. Perfect. What you been doing? Perfect. I see you eating a watermelon. Perfect. You lost a couple pounds. Motherfuckers. You see me on the shorts every goddamn day. You see me doing this shit, exercising, eating right. Nobody said one motherfucking word. Not one motherfucking mumbling word. All perfect. You look good. I notice your diet, the water, everything. Good job. You scared? Motherfuckers. No, nobody got shit to say. I don't know. Happy birthday. No, you doing good, losing weight. No positive. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's what I got to say. Motherfuckers. Got me eating watermelon. Oh, goddamn, J Long. I like hog maws. I like pig feet. Big welfare green bell pepper nose. Why your mama making that big welfare green bell pepper burger? Why your mama make you that big welfare green bell pepper burger? Oh shit. Oh shit. What else was I going? Hey y'all. So we've been talking about Fannie Willis and the YSL. So in Atlanta, it was a lot of stuff happening in Atlanta. One of the things that led up to that RICO indictment was Young Thug, children's mother. Him and her had multiple children together. She was murdered at a bowling alley. That was right before the RICO indictment. So a couple things preceded the RICO indictment people forget about. She was murdered at a bowling alley, and when Young Thug was arrested, he was actually at home with the children. He wasn't in the streets. He didn't have any gun. He wasn't doing anything illegal. He was at home with the 16-year-old. And since he's been incarcerated, one of the things I've brought up is in that no one cares about Fannie Willis. She's the same person who prosecuted 35 teachers for a non-crime, all black women, who's been caring for the children. Because like days before the arrest, the RICO charge, their mother was murdered and then their father was indicted. Nobody talks about that. So another thing that preceded, there was a lot of violence in Atlanta. And King Von's murder was one of the violent things that happened in Atlanta. And I don't know if y'all heard, but the young man that was charged with the murder, all charges has been dropped. So I just want to bring that to my audience, because in my analytics, I have people who listen to me of all ages. So I wanted y'all to hear this story. As people like Glorilla tell you, be toxic, and everybody tell you about demon time, and everybody talk about drill and all this stuff. I really don't like it. I don't like the drill. I don't like the violent gang rap, because we went through this already. See, we didn't have a choice. We got caught up in the crack era. The white man created crack cocaine. They used black boys to sell crack cocaine, and then they gave black boys guns to protect the gun trade so that they could benefit from it financially. So we got caught up in that. And one of the things when we came out of that is it was big about us telling everybody and the young people who might glorify what we did is that there is another side to this shit. There's another side to this shit. And it's this time again, this ultra glorification. This ultra glorification of and this is what makes it false to me. And this is what makes it so dangerous. It's this ultra glorification of a lifestyle that we all know. Everybody here in the chat, my brothers KP, Ken, Nice Sometime, Mr. Me Too, all of my brothers know that there is another side that they don't tell you. And this is what the OG was all about. When Ice-T first started saying OG, the OG was about giving you the lesson of what is to come, what comes along with this life that you cannot escape. It's a promise, or you can call it a curse. We don't talk about the curse. The Big Facts podcast coined it the rap trap, but it goes back to biblical times. I said a pound of flesh, and we don't talk about that pound of flesh. We don't talk about the devil coming to collect a pound of your flesh and how painful it is when someone takes a pound of flesh and blood from you. No one talks about, as I say it, it's a young person listening saying, oh, he putting 2 on the 10, he hyping it up. No, the devil was coming for a pound of flesh. You stay toxic for your entire 20s. And when you become 30, you may fall in love with a man. And I know women, when the doctors say you can't have babies, you can't hold a child in your womb for 9 months. Why? Because like Tony Montana said, your womb is polluted. And I'm not going to hit the laugh track because it's not funny, because I know women like this in real life. Your womb is polluted. So the lining, you're lining and you try to get pregnant, but you lose the baby because you can't hold the baby. You can't hold the baby. Too many abortions, too many sexual partners, too much toxic behavior. But Glorilla, who's in her 20s, didn't educate me on this. Glorilla said, I'm only going to be 21 and it would be okay. Doctor, it was supposed to be okay. I can be toxic. I was 20. Are you telling me I got to pay for it in my 30s that I was toxic in my 20s? Are you telling me it's harder to find a man now that I've had these sexual partners? Are you telling me it's going to be harder to have a child now that I've had these multiple abortions? No one told me that when I was getting these procedures done. They said I could have a free life and I want to have fun and I want to go on vacation. So I got the procedures done. I didn't know that when I got ready to have a child, when I found a husband and God blessed me, that it would be complications. I was just being toxic, doctor. God, I was just being toxic. I didn't know. Nobody told me. No OGs. That's the OG. Hey, baby girl, how many times you done went down there? Where's the OG women tapping baby girl on the shoulder like, okay, look, I was you before. My partner was you before. You keep running the streets with all these different men, thinking you having fun, playing the man. This is what happened to my girlfriend. You know, Susan, why she always over here buying y'all shoes? Because that bitch can't have no kids. That's why I kept her as a friend, because I knew that bitch had extra income. I didn't have no nigga, and Susan would be able to buy the shoes that I couldn't buy because that bitch can't have no kids. Because when we was in our 20s, that bitch was doing what you was doing. Mama, I didn't know. Yeah, bitch, I know you didn't know. Because that's why you bopping around here with your little young ass doing all this little toxic, nasty shit, and you think the devil ain't gonna come calling. Yeah, he gonna want a pound of flesh, baby girl. When I took you to church, it wasn't just a game. It wasn't just a book. It's math in this shit. And you need to understand there are consequences for your lifestyle. Don't listen to them little bitches out there telling you be toxic for 10 fucking years. That's your body. It was a gift given to you. You don't get another body. The bitch should have told you that. You don't get another body. As new body, and I got bodies, and I didn't call them back because I got a new body. No, you don't get a new body, bitch. Where the OGs at? So King Von is gone, and the person who supposedly shot him just got the charges dropped. That's a hell of an end to this story. That's a hell of an end to this story, ain't it? They don't tell you these things. It's all the glitz and glamour.
When he was accused of killing King Von. Real name, Davon Bennett, outside of an Atlanta hookah bar. The shooting allegedly occurred during an altercation between King Von's Armed and Dangerous Squad and Atlanta rapper Quando Rondo's crew. Although Lil Tim was arrested shortly after the shooting, he was eventually released on $100,000 bond in March 2021, according to reports of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, has since closed the case.
So what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Mickey Truth, aka the Queen of Paperwork, and I am back with a quick video. Y'all, I can officially report and confirm that the murder charge against Timothy Leaks, aka Lil Tim, for the murder of rapper King Von has been dismissed based on the DA's decision not to prosecute. I personally spoke with the clerk of court representative in Fulton County.
Perfect. Why are you doing this story? Perfect. Why are you doing this story? What's the relevance? Donald Trump will be indicted in this same county. As we talk about Larry Elder, I'm going to get to Larry Elder because I promised you guys red meat. And I know you guys want to talk about Larry Elder in the Breakfast Club interview. I don't give a fuck about it, but I'm a podcaster and part of my job is talking about topics that I don't want to talk about. So I'm going to do the red meat. I'm going to do the Larry Elder, but I think it's fucking stupid. And I know a lot of black men are going to say, well, I think talking about Little Tim is stupid because you don't get shit. So surface level. That's why Larry Elder is able to present the same talking points from Montel Jordan. Larry Elder been on TV saying the same shit since the talk shows. Larry Elder had a talk show after he killed the talk show circuit. The same thing he did to Charlamagne, he did to fucking Sally Jesse Raphael, he did to Montel Williams, he did to Jay Springer. What's the white boy name? Donahue. Larry Elder been doing this shit since the talk shows. How many times has Larry Elder run for president? Y'all niggas get on my nerves. God damn. Larry Elder didn't say shit. Dr. Cornel West been doing some poignant fucking interviews. Dr. Cornel West is running for president. If y'all want to have an intelligent diatribe about this shit, Dr. Cornel West has a presidential... Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, been senator for years, who fucked up the police bill. Tim Scott, Cory Booker, fucked up the bill. Fucked up the lynching bill. Fuck up. That's a real conversation. Not Larry Elder, fucking comedic cartoon ass. He's a fucking cartoon character. Just like Jesse Lee Peterson. These are cartoon characters that have been around. It's almost like niggas asleep. Did niggas just start learning how to read and shit? I don't understand how the fascination with Larry Elder. It's like I feel like I'm in a motherfucking movie. Is it me, Mandela, or is it you, Mandela? What the fuck is going on? Larry Elder been around since I've been Methuselah, goddamn, saying the same shit. Dr. Cornel West, though, has never run for president. We've all respected Dr. Cornel West, professor at Harvard, Princeton. No one has spoken to him on a platform and really analyzed I don't think Black America understands or know. How many put a 5 in the chat if you knew Dr. Cornel West is running for president? Put a 5 in the chat. Put a 5 in the chat if you know who Tim Scott, Cory Booker is. Put a 5 in the chat if you know about the legislation that they dropped. If you're a 5.0 perfect timing listener, if you listen to my broadcast, then you know who Cory Booker and Tim Scott is. The motherfucking New Jersey person who saved the people in the fire. He's a senator now. Democratic Senator Cory Booker, but Republican Senator Tim Scott. They both were on both sides of the aisle. And after the BLM protest, there was legislation similar to the Asian hate crime bill. Shout out to Kwafi Nino. They dropped they shit on our legislation. So the Asian hate crime bill gets passed after all these black men get murdered, but Tim Scott and Cory Booker dropped the motherfucking ball. I don't want to talk about Larry Elder and relationships. God damn it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because you motherfuckers want the rim. Let me get my own watermelon. You motherfuckers didn't even talk about me losing weight. I'm on a motherfucking watermelon fast. You niggas want to talk about Larry Elder, stupid old ass. Talk about this shit since my tail fucking wood. On my fucking nerves. You know what it was? Niggas and hate black women so much because they ain't getting no pussy. Because this black woman was frustrated with Larry Elder and the black woman was ignorant on a lot of her points, we want to go have fun with the interview. We really could have a really intelligent conversation about why black women feel this way. So fucking disappointing. So fucking disappointing. Affirmative action. And we could just unpack everything I've been saying for the past 2 weeks since the affirmative action decision about single parent households. And the key about it is I haven't said race or sex. I've been very careful to say single parent households as not to offend and not to be ignorant about the fact that we're only 13% of the nation. 200 million white people. The majority of the people dealing with this now, we got all these Kyle Rittenhouses, and the single parent epidemic is hitting white America. Opiate crisis. You don't have the opiate crisis unless dad is out of the home. And now mom is taking pills and the kid is taking pills. The single parent crisis is hitting middle white America. That's why our talking point is being talked about. Black men have been screaming about single parents and single parent crisis and the downstream effects of single parenthood for 30, 40 fucking years. Larry Elder has said nothing new. The reports have been around. Charleston White, if you want to talk about what Larry Elder was talking about, talk to Charleston White. Charleston White can talk to you about juvenile homicide rates. He was incarcerated as a juvenile. He works with juveniles who've killed their parents, who've killed people. He can speak to you about two-parent households versus single-parent households. I can speak to you because I've been in those facilities. My brother works in a facility like that. A lot of us in this chat can speak to it. And we could, instead of getting mad at black women, instead of kind of combat black women, we could have fun and present like I presented the Glorilla, right? And then I'll give you the game on what it looks like. Because I got a daughter and I have a son. So any women listening to me, I'm going to have fun with the Glorilla topic. But then I'm going to tell them, like my late mother, rest in peace, Mama Shirley would tell them. Because Mama Shirley ain't gone. Her spirit's still here. So I'm going to give you the game like Mama Shirley would give you. A real OG. There's a result of your toxic behavior. She wouldn't tell you in front of me. She wouldn't embarrass you. She might, depending on how trifling you is, but she would pull you to the side and give you a testimony because you obviously got the shit wrong. This single parent home is directly related to everything we've been discussing. When I talk about no child left behind, when I talk about Common Core, when I talk about low test scores, when we talk about the $300 million given to the basketball player in his bridge program in his Juice Foundation. He's working with inner city kids. And I bet you dollars to donuts, the inner city kids he's working with come from single parent homes. Why is this story relevant? Because Donald Trump, within the next 2 to 3 days, will be booked at the Fulton County Corrections Facility. The Fulton County District Attorney just dropped charges against this young man, and everybody's calling for blood. Everybody wants Donald Trump to be in prison. But a young man who just killed another young black man just went home and the charges were dropped. King Von is dead. King Von was shot dead. And the Fulton County District Attorney just dropped charge. I think she's biting off more than she could chew. 19 people in this RICO. There were 30 people in the YSL RICO. They haven't even got the jury selection. Now you're dropping the charges on this crime. You got Quando Rondo out on bail. I just told you about the murder of Young Thug's baby mama. Who's getting charged for that? So what are they doing? What are they? This is really relevant. As I talked to you yesterday about the new law in Georgia, how you can remove a district attorney. Now, the relevancy is this is the same district attorney in the same office that President Trump will be in a matter of days. And they just let this boy go for murder. And King Von's murder is what? What is it? And now this person is going to indict Trump on 41 charges. That's hella fucking relevant. That's hella fucking relevant. She just letting go murderers. They gave everybody in YSL 15 years probation. She just letting go murderers. But now you're going to indict Trump on a 41 indictment? I'll play it again so you can understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Fulton County DA, Fulton DA's office just dropped the charges on a murderer. I don't give a fuck. I'm not a rapper fan. I'm not a King Von fan. I'm not a Little Tim fan. I don't care what side you on. I'm talking about the president of the United States. I'm talking about politics. I'm not talking about this rap shit.
AKA Lil Tim, for the murder of rapper King Von has been dismissed based on the DA's decision not to prosecute.
Based on the DA's decision not to prosecute. That's a coffin nail. That's a motherfucking coffin nail. Where my gunshots at? That's a motherfucking coffin nail. Based on it. So the DA not going to prosecute a murderer. The DA not going to prosecute a murderer, but she going to prosecute Donald Trump. And put a RICO on Donald Trump. A RICO on Donald Trump. Oh, we gonna paint the motherfucking wall. It's a raid. Everybody on the dance floor. Raid. Everybody hit the dance floor. Raid. Everybody hit the dance floor. They would be smoking crack. I'll be a little kid. I like that song. And they would be smoking crack. That was the crack party. Everybody had shoulder blades, shoulder pads. I call them shoulder blades. Everybody had shoulder blades, shiny suits, leather, jerry curls, smoking crack or cocaine, and that would be the song. It's a raid. Everybody raid the dance floor. Raid. Everybody raid the dance floor. Y'all know about that shit. Raid. Everybody raid the dance floor. Raid. Yeah, there was a lot of crack in the air. That's when crack was cool. See, we don't talk about that. Hey, that's Richard. He running, yeah, but he cool. I ain't been at the cool run. Y'all forget crack was cool. Crack was cool. It was expensive. In the beginning, it wasn't no $5 crack. Now you couldn't get cocaine. Cocaine is expensive. That's the whole thing. Cocaine was a rich man high. When you see them doing cocaine in the movies, they're the people with money. Snorting it 101. Take a 1-on-1 to this shit, son. Shout out to Ghostface, Raekwon. Take a 1-on-1 to this shit, son. That's Glaciers of Ice, incarcerated Scarfaces. We can trade places, incarcerated Scarfaces. Yeah, man. Real hip hop, man. Incarcerated Scarfaces, man. Nas, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, man. Oh, man. It's so dope. It's like, did that really happen? Perfect. That didn't really happen. Nas, Raekwon, and it is doper than it sound. Incarcerated Scarfaces. We could trade places, get lifted in the staircases. Peace to incarcerated Scarfaces. Yeah, man, take a 101 to this shit, son. So let's listen to this one more time. This, because people have been saying all week, how is the Fulton County DA going to prosecute this case? She says she wants to bring the case before March. It's 19 people in the RICO indictment: Donald Trump, Fannie Willis, Fulton County District Attorney Office, 41 counts, but then it's over 100 charges. It's the same overcharging bullshit she did in the Atlanta Public Schools and the same overcharging she did in the YSL case, which is drawing out. You're still got appeals and people still from a RICO case that she was involved in over 10 years ago, the most expensive case, because this is another thing about her overcharging, her overreaching, and why you don't let DAs and lawyers do this, because it's costing so much time and money to the state of Georgia. They're still working on that Atlanta public school case 10 years from now, still spending money because of the way Fannie Lewis prosecutes cases. And now she wants to drop the charges against a murderer so she can indict and RICO charge Donald Trump. Let me be honest, she already dropped the charges.
Vaughn has been dismissed. That the murder charge against Timothy Leaks, aka Lil Tim, for the murder of rapper King Von has been dismissed based on the DA's decision not to prosecute. I personally spoke with the clerk of court representative in Fulton County that did confirm by phone that the charges has been dismissed because the DA chose not to prosecute. I do not have any further details if it was due to self-defense or whatever, but the reason that I was provided was due to the DA choosing not to prosecute. So yes, the charges for the murder of King Von against Lil Tim, aka Timothy Leaks, are dismissed. No further actions is pending. No further actions in the murder case of King Von has been provided. So at this point, that is the update. Had to come through and let y'all know. So until next time, holla.
Almost as if it didn't happen. You hear that? No updates, no new charges. Von, this is the part I don't tell you about being a thug. King Von just gone. He's just gone. And I got a low battery on my laptop. Red meat. Ray, somebody else must have went live. Watermelon fast. Gotta put something on the watermelon, like the lemon and the salt. I got some other stories before we get to Larry Elder. What else I got? Before we talk about this Larry Elder bullshit. Oh, this some California news. This some California news. This is some good. This is some perfect timing stuff right here. So I'm doing my research and I come across stories. So y'all know I'm into the farming and I'm into like natural living even before the watermelon fast trend. You know, I talked to y'all about my garden and being native and indigenous and talk to you about Kev Gills and my thoughts and philosophies on the American Negro being native to this North American land. I take this shit real serious too. This, like, I don't believe in this middle passage. I don't believe in this transatlantic slave trade bullshit that they didn't even teach my mother. And they changing the shit right now. The true history don't get written down. That's not what history is. History is not the truth. It's not a real account. That's why they call something a real account. It's different than history. The truth don't get written down. History, well, I studied American history. I had a very complex AP American history class. I learned about the Queen abdicating the throne of Hawaii. I never learned about the Doles. I never learned about the Doles turning Hawaii into a fucking country. How many people you think know Hawaii was turned into a country by rich white men? And those rich white men were then given the country and then made the first governor and then basically ruled over it like kings the entire time up until they left in 2009. Basically ruled over Hawaii like kings, like royalty, like South Africa and Europe the entire time. Until they pulled out in 2009. So that don't get written down. That don't get put in the history class. That's not in the book. Ron DeSantis is not arguing over that because you never get taught that. That's not history. That's what happened, but that's not his story of what happened. History is his story of what happened. And his story of what happened was the Hawaiian queen abdicated her throne to the United States, and that's not what happened. That's his story. Huh? For everybody that be saying, I don't like that they or that we. And we don't do that magical white, racist white man, right? Whenever you say that, you are spitting in the face of his story. Whenever you say, who is that we? I'm talking about that we is when people say the royal we, that we applies to the same his. That we is his. His story. You can now say, who is his story? Whose story are you talking about, Perfect? Well, I tell you, it's not the story of the Hawaiians. It's not the story of the native people of this land. I'll leave it up to one of you smart, dumb niggas to tell me who his story is referring to. But I'll tell you one thing, his story doesn't refer to the Mayans and Hawaiians' story. It's adjacent to their story. His story doesn't refer to the Comanche, the Navajo. It's adjacent to their story. His story is not the same as the Japanese story of a Japanese emperor and the empire and they rule. His story says something different about the Japanese. His story says something different about the Chinese and how old the Chinese wall is. His story says today is 2023, but it's not 2023 in Kenya, in Africa. They have a different calendar. They have a different date in Ethiopia. It's not August 2023 in China. Did you know that? It's not August 2023 in Japan. They have a 10,000-year-old calendar in China. What year is it, y'all? Is it the year of the dog, the year of the rat, the year of the rabbit? Somebody tell me. Gung Hey Fat Choi. I'm from San Francisco, California. We used to do that every year. Gung Hey Fat Choi. It's not August 2023. History tells you that they're called Chinese. I grew up in San Francisco. That's not what they called themselves. History, his story, called them Japanese. His story calls them African, despite it being over 45 different countries, hundreds of dialects, different environments. He called it all. It's a universe into itself. He said it's all Africa. That's his story. Y'all get that? This is Australia. That's not what they call it. You're Australians. You're Indians. He thought it was India. But his story is that you're Indians because that's what he thought it was. That's who the we is when the black men and the intelligent black brothers be telling you, oh, who is this we? And who is the they that you're talking about? The we and the they is the his, homeboy. It's the his, the person who named it Japan, the person who named it Africa. It's called an empire. It's called the European Empire. Then it became the American Empire. And they created things like Jerusalem and Israel. They actually drew lines. Now we're learning through the Ukraine conflict that they created lines called Poland and Crimea and the Ukraine. His story. We're learning through Kev Gills that Germany didn't become a country to the late 1900s, just like Hawaii didn't become a state to the late 1900s. Y'all didn't know that, huh? Germany didn't become Germany. This is his story. It was called something else, Austria. But look it up. Into the late 1900s, after World War II, Germany became Germany. I was fucking flabbergasted. Look up when Germany became Germany. It was called something else. His story. Was it called Hawaii? They might call it a licky licky lao. But we know it as Hawaii. Who named it Hawaii? Did the Dole family name it Hawaii? Is that his story? Because I bet you the Hawaiians, just like the Chinese and the Japanese, call their island, Japan is an island, y'all. Just like Hawaii, that's why it's a lot of Japanese in Hawaii. Japan is an island. Powerful mythology with islanders because they're surrounded by water. This is where you get all of the great Japanese stories. But that's different than his story. So I found this, and I was really, moved by this.
Annual Salmon Festival. There's a parade, craft stalls, a stick game tournament, and plenty of food. But
it feels like having a party, but your favorite person isn't there.
Because this year they are not serving salmon at the Salmon Festival.
The word nepui, our word for salmon, the literal translation is what we eat.
That pretty much says it all.
That gets to the heart of it.
But out on the river, there just aren't enough salmon. The tribe says the fish have suffered since the gold rush. Their river near ruined by mining, rising water temperatures, and huge hydropower dams.
There's only about half the salmon returning that we need to sustain the current population, and that's why salmon fishing was shut down.
So we got a salmon festival in California with no salmon. This is the type of shit that intrigues me. This is the type of shit I'll be wanting to talk about. This is the type of shit that I believe is important, but I'm a professional YouTuber, so you got to do the topics that people want to hear. But I'm going to sneak in the shit that I want to talk about too.
Down completely this fall.
That's why there's no salmon to eat. But the mood at the festival is, festive, celebratory. Why? Because the UROC and others are doing something about that lack of salmon. They've campaigned hard to have dams removed. One just was after federal regulators approved the plan last year. 3 more will follow next year. And then there's this, what looks like environmental destruction, but is actually the opposite.
This bit that we're on now, this will eventually be the floodplain.
Yeah, this will be the floodplain here.
That's me and Frankie Mars, the tribal leader from the Salmon Festival. They are undoing damage done by miners and more. Recreating bug habitats, food for the fish.
When I look out and I see our tribal members run.
It's powerful. So they, I want to show you what happened. So they got rid of a dam. They basically being starved out. or have been starved out by, Sacramento wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the dams. And basically what they're saying is these dams is causing basically the end to their people. Ability to eat, feed themselves goes back to Jack and the Beanstalk. So I wanted to show y'all what they did. Give y'all some props, give y'all some hope with the red meat.
Future of their food supply. Salmon, which used to be plentiful, are now vulnerable, and an ambitious plan that will result in the largest dam removal in U.S. history could save their food supply. Here's why we all need to be paying attention to this. Our Kana Whitworth has this in-depth report.
Raising 5 children on the Yurok reservation, Molly still weaves baskets, cooks acorns, and wears traditional face tattoos. Keeping tribal memories alive is important to the whole family.
There was a whole period of assimilation, right? It's like, don't speak your language, don't get your traditional tattoos, like hide that you're Indian, just try to, be in like mainstream white culture.
And when they can, they fish, reliant on the salmon that have run these waters of California's second largest river, the Klamath, since what the Yurok tribe calls time immemorial. The tribe now watching those salmon numbers dwindle.
A couple years ago, fish numbers were really, really low. And we had about 3 cases of fish in our pantry. And so Frankie and I just made the decision ourselves that we wouldn't fish in an effort to kind of let as many fish up the river as we could.
Without the salmon, nearly 92% of the Klamath River Basin tribes face food insecurity and rely on federal government help.
One of the reasons that we do a lot of camming, we rely on salmon specifically, not only just because it's a part of our traditional diet, but the nearest grocery store is about 45 minutes away from here. And that's our local grocery store on the reservation.
Food desert. So it's indigenous, it's cultural, but it's sustainment.
And as the western mega drought worsens, the water levels are reaching historic lows and temperatures too warm for the salmon to survive. Alarms have been going off since 2002, when 34,000 adult salmon were killed in the Klamath. Yurok tribal members turned their attention to the 4 dams holding back water along the river.
Your entire relationship, in the time it has taken the dams to be removed, you have built a family and a life together.
Yeah.
This month, the federal government gave the green light to remove the 4 dams along the lower Klamath River, a decision the Yurok tribe has been waiting on for years.
This is the Iron Gate Dam, and the idea is to remove this one and the 3 behind it simultaneously, completing the project by fall of 2024, which would allow that year's fall Chinook to return to their original spawning grounds for the first time since 1980.
This is huge, you guys. This is huge. I feel so blessed. I know you guys want the red meat. I know everybody want to hear about Larry Elder. This is a real journalism story. So I'm going to give you King Von, I'm going to give you Glorilla, I'm going to give you Larry Elder, but when you talk about journalism, when you talk about the shit that we really care about, well, why I get upset that Hotep was even created as a terminology, because there was so much knowledge that we gained from the Hotep era and understanding, and why you should be upset that you don't see anyone who looks like you benefiting or fighting for these rivers. Because Redwood City, and there were black people here, and black people created these places, but you don't see any Negroes here. You see these Filipinos and Asians who came here after us. But we want to talk about relationships and Larry Elder. They just got 4 dams removed. This is powerful on a political level when we talk about reparations, when we talk about our political aspirations. They just got 4 dams removed. I think it took them like 20, 30 years. 4 dams in California. You know what that means to California infrastructure. You know these white people that want to remove that shit. There's so much to unpack here. California is a 5th largest economy in the globe. We grow 80 to 90% of the globe's greens. All of the greens. You need greens. You know how they say eat your vegetables? California, motherfuckers. What does this do to farming in the Central Valley? This is like life. This is like the bees and shit. This is like sharks getting murdered. You understand what I'm talking about? You understand me? This is that shit you need to be knowing about. By 2024, we're gonna have a salmon run. A salmon run. We're gonna have a salmon run in California. Who gonna benefit? Now, how much is salmon a pound? Is anybody? I know it's some people that truly be listening to me. How much is salmon a pound? Because I eat salmon, coho, sockeye. This is going to be Yurok salmon, unique, indigenous to California. This river, salmon be like $30, $36 a pound. This could be some old $60 a pound, like some Kobe salmon. This could be some Kobe salmon. My brother Temple Bong in the building. My brother said Central County is what was what they call China. Central country. Thank you. They didn't call it China. Napoleon informally is an island country that his calls Japan. No, Nippon or Nihon. Check that out. Nippon or Nihon, and formally Nihon Koku is an island country that his called Japan. Thank you, brother. I know my brother, the nameless protagonist, he be watching in the shadows. He gonna love that Tampa Bong because he's astute in the study of that Japanese culture, history, and art. So thank you for that. If y'all didn't know, I was asking our audience and letting them know what history is and that he gave these names to these places. You know what, Tampa Bong, when I've taught on this before, you know, we'd be late night smoking a joint, you'd be philosophizing. One of the ways it helped me understand this is through money. And some people don't get like where we're going about the fact that he named it Japan. And so when I worked in corporate America, Tampa Bong, shout out him and Hot Sauce, very highly educated, high aptitude corporate America. So you work with people, it's only like one black person, but it's minority. It's a Japanese person, and he may speak Japanese as a Chinese person. So what you learn these things from your coworkers, right? That's where I learned them, and growing up in a melting pot in San Francisco. And you learn about how what it came to me is, okay, how did how does he trade and buy goods from everybody on the same stock exchange? See, we getting at something right now, Tampa. How does he trade with money? Now we getting at this whole trade agreements and what this new after 2030. Come on now. Why is he Japan? Why is he China? Why is he Australia? And why are they all on the stock exchange? And how are we all able to communicate via the globe on these communication systems? And why do they speak Chinese? If their land is not called Japan and they don't speak Chinese, that's what I learned from my Japanese partner. That's not what they call it. They don't call it Chinese, but why I'm not saying the color. Y'all notice I'm leaving out the color. I keep saying his. Why did his call him? So that he can trade with them. It's his empire. It's his globe. You think about this. I'm giving you a fucking name. I'm giving you a fucking name so that you have to do business with me. And when you do business with me, you do it as a Chinese. God damn. I don't give a fuck what your name was. You Japan now. I don't get no more emperor. You can't have an emperor. We removing your emperor. Your name is Japan. You speak Japanese. When you come to America, you're going to be checking a Japan box. You're going to speak Japanese. You can make more money if you pass a test and prove to me that you know how to speak Japanese. What the fuck is you talking about? I got to prove to the his who named me Japan, and I got to prove to you that I can speak. I know this because I worked in a pharmaceutical company owned by the Japanese. With a bad Japanese women are gorgeous, man. Woo, different type of, y'all don't know unless you really met a real Japanese woman, Japanese family. I love growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area. You got to pass a test. It's the same thing with my Hispanic friends who can't conjugate verbs and don't speak the Queen's Spanish. It's not Spanglish. It's not what they speak in Mexico. It's Spanish, what they speak in Spain. That's how you make more money in California. If you don't speak the Spanish that they speak in Spain, then you can't get the extra money. As you see those TikTokers and the girl is saying, I'm not going to translate if you're not going to pay me. Well, she's not going to get paid for translating if she can't conjugate verbs and speak the Queen's English, motherfuckers. This is his story that we getting at. I know from working in these corporate environments, it blows me up. I've had colleagues with super frustration at his story, and they're pissed. How you gonna test me on Japanese? How you gonna test me in Chinese? You told me I'm Chinese. I'm not fucking Chinese, and now I gotta pass your test to get the money to translate. It's not good enough that I speak Chinese because it's not your language. We are in his empire. It's his story. This is what, God damn, what my brother say. In 2023, an approximately wholesale price range for U.S. salmon is between 42, what did I say, 4 and a kilogram between 1.9 and 3.17. So that's a windfall. That's a windfall for that tribe, and I'm happy. But it makes me think about all of the arguments of the Black American FBA ADOS. Are we Negro? Are we Black? Are we FBA? Are we ADOS? It don't matter what we are. We're not benefiting from the salmon. I know I'm not African, just like the Japanese know I'm not Japanese. He knows he's Nippon or Nihana Kuku. And that's similar to Hawaiians. You know, Maliki Liki Lakau. That's something that Hawaii is a name like that. Hawaii is not Hawaii. But in order for you to be enveloped and folded into this system of monetary system, you got to come into my house in the way I want you to come into my house. The only way you come into my house is, and I'm the emperor of this global empire, is you come into my house as a Chinese. And you got to let that shit go. You come into my house as a Japanese and whatever you was before that. And then we don't really talk about, like the story talked about since time immemorial may own this river. So what is it? What's before this time? You guys, what's before when he gave the names to everybody? What was it before this time? What was it before this time? Before they established after World War, when they said Israel and the Jews could live here and Palestine and Jerusalem and this is this and the Merkaba and this is North Africa and Egyptians is white. And before that, what was it? What was that time? We don't even talk about as we go into 2030 and these names change again. This is gorgeous, man. I just wanted y'all to trip how the rich, it's not just that, Tampa. It's not just, you know what, Tampa? Thank you for putting that there. Thank you for being my island. Thank you for being my Scottie Pippen. Because it's not just the salmon too. You know what else I'm thinking about? What about the property value is like, you know, I lived in San Francisco. It's one of the most expensive real estates in the globe. My mother, as a city employee, got paid some of the highest wages in the globe because it would compete with Japan and Hawaii and Los Angeles, some of the most expensive real estate. And these same people own real estate in all, you know how they say Los Angeles owned by the Japanese and Asians? So they also own real estate in San Francisco, in Japan, and Hawaii. It's the same three places. And that's what makes the real estate in these places go up. Is these same people who have this money. They buy homes in Hawaii, Japan, San Francisco, Los Angeles. And that's what makes the real estate in these places some of the most expensive real estate in the globe. You'd be surprised who would have a home in San Francisco. You would absolutely be surprised at the individuals who have homes. And you just like people didn't know that Oprah had a home in Hawaii with 1,000 acres. Mark Zuckerberg bought his primary residence in Hawaii. He's been dealing with bullshit ever since, and he just bought more acreage in Hawaii. And now with the Maui fires, we learned that Lahaina was $1 billion, not Miami. Well, why would you know about it? You're not a billionaire, right? Why would you know about it? $1 billion beachfront property. So not only is the salmon going to be a windfall, but what about the land? When they open up this, it's going to be some of the most beautiful. California's gorgeous. This water, when this river starts flowing, is going to bring back so much life. You see how it's brown now? When I grew up, this was all green. So you open up these dams, this all becomes lush, some of the most gorgeous land in the whole globe. That's why the best weed is growing here, some of the most richest soil. You got volcanic soil with some of the best avocados and things are grown. So what happens with the actual land that's going to be created and the value in the homes? You know, Lake Tahoe, you got the Hearst Mansion, Godfather. Lake Tahoe is where they used to be like a playground for billionaires. And to this day, like presidents have houses on Lake Tahoe. President Bush was vacationing on Lake Tahoe. What happens when this river opens up? Will we get another Lake Tahoe with this perfect blue? It's something, if you've never been to Lake Tahoe, it's gorgeous because it's so pure and pristine, and they keep it that way. So with these rivers opening up in an indigenous land, are we going to have more gorgeous lakes?
18. But while they wait for the dams to be removed, the tribe is working year-round to restore the Trinity River, the largest tributary to the Klamath.
So where we're walking right now, you said is the largest restoration project in the history of the Trinity River.
That is correct.
It's a huge cleanup effort of mine tailings from the 30s and 40s.
Yep, from the Oregon Gulch mine.
Do you think sometimes when people think of river restoration, they might not imagine a scene like this?
No, they definitely don't imagine a scene like this. We've got local people that have come out to the project, and they're actually very shocked as to what we've accomplished in the short amount of time that we've been out here.
And most of the work is being done by tribal members themselves. We met Alderon McCovey working the excavator, who says it's non-stop work that he feels a responsibility to do.
Our people are salmon people, and we've always believed if the salmon ever disappear, then we're pretty much done. So we got to do what we can to keep the fish in the river, you know?
This river is part of their lifeblood. So the passion that comes to these projects from the tribe, it's not about the project. It's about restoring and bringing back the resources to the people.
It's amazing to see all that. What unbelievable work.
Frankie and Yurok biologist Kyle DiGiulio take us along the Trinity for a look at some of the completed projects, helped by funding from the infrastructure bill.
Government leaders are saying, you know, we're working with the tribes. We're going back to the tribes to try to learn from their connection to the land how to get us out of this problem. You agree with that?
I agree that they are absolutely coming to us more than they ever have in the past. And I think they're finally starting to listen to what we've been trying to say this whole time.
By building up areas along the banks, creating structure and slowing the water, they've seen the numbers of juvenile salmon more than double. But still, Kyle says the recent passing of the dam removal was the only way to see adult salmon return in those same numbers.
What kind of difference will that make?
It's going to be huge for the fish on the Trinity. The conditions in the lower Klamath are a bottleneck, a limitation on the amount of productivity we can have. Last year, we had a huge juvenile fish kill on the Klamath where we lost 90% of the outmigrating juveniles.
But many upstream in Siskiyou County say these dams play a critical role during the increasingly intense wildfire season. In 2010, nearly 80% of the community members here voted against dam removal.
This area's been hit by wildland fires incredibly the last several years, and those dams provide a water source to fight fire. The community of Copco was saved because of Copco Dam.
Wow! Shit! What a fucking story! I love reacting to this shit live with you guys. Can you believe this? As we talk about his story, they don't want them to move the dam, and the only reason he could provide this is their indigenous land. This is how they feed. They got fucking salmon in jars, food desert, no grocery store. They don't want to build no grocery store. But the only reason now I talked to you, ain't this funny how God worked? I talked to you about the controlled burns and how we got to the wildfires in Maui and Northern California. And he's not addressing the real issue of the wildfire, what caused the wildfire, PG&E, the lack of infrastructure investments, the lack of control burns. No, he is blaming it. He just said, we need the water. We need to kill that tribe so we can have a safety net for our white ass. Holy shit. Holy shit. We need to kill that tribe so we can have a safety net for our holy white ass. Tampa Bond said, bro, the English we speak now denotes class within the Anglosphere. With the Norman conquest of England in 1066, French Normans brought fancy terminology to the linguistic table, including words like crown and castle and words related to food like banquet, sauce, biscuit, and roast. The theory goes that the distinction between terms for live animals and dead animal meat was influenced by class. Wow. That's like when Tampa Bond was here before and we talked about white people and when they became white. You know, Tampa Bond right now on HBO Max, I'm watching this show called Warrior. And it's the guy, it's about Chinatown in San Francisco. It's a good ass show. And the one, my wife was watching me watch it, and I was telling her I got into it because the star was on the Bullet Train movie with Brad Pitt. That's a good ass movie. Bullet Train was a good movie. But I'm from San Francisco, right? And again, back to this river, this is about the gold rush, San Francisco being built, and it's about the Irish and they not being white. Irish and Italians in this time where you have Chinatown and the Chinese weren't white, weren't American. So the Chinese weren't American. They were here as labor, and the Irish also were here, but they were here as Americans, but they wasn't white. So it's a good ass show because it shows white people and the difference in the way the Irish speak. They in the bar getting drunk, the way the classes are and the different levels of class and whiteness. And this ain't that long ago. And how the Irish couldn't get a job and the Irish had to go through hoops like they were black. Like no one wanted to hire them. They wanted to get hired and be treated like whites, but they only could get hired at the same level as Asians. And they knew Asians weren't treated as humans at the time. Chinese were treated like subhuman. And the white people were like, I can pay a Chinaman cheaper than why should I pay an Irishman who wants to get paid like a white man when you're not white? It's called Warrior. They call it Max now. It's not HBO Max. Great show about Chinatown and the birth of San Francisco and how Chinese play an integral role in the building and the foundations from the beginnings of San Francisco, and how the Irish were involved in the police force. Right, the Irish had control of the police force and involved and had this relationship What's the symbiotic relationship with the Chinese? Because they grew up together. Because they both were in opposition to the whiteness, as Tampa Bong brought up. Both the Irish who ran the police and the Chinese who did the work and the labor were in opposition to the white upper class, and they ended up, that made them in this TV rendition, created a symbiotic relationship, but they leaving out the blacks, they leaving out the Negroes. That's the one thing about the show that I'm kind of upset about. There's not enough representation. There's a black woman who's dating a white man. You know what I'm saying? They just killed the nigga. Like, it's not enough representation, and he like has some island accent. There's not a representation of any Negro. I don't see any Indians, indigenous people like that, but it does really highlight this thing me and Tampa Bomb been talking about in these levels of whiteness in class and how they existed here in America. And that's one thing you'll notice. I don't know if anybody watching Warrior notices that, because you may fall in love with the Irish group of people and you're like, these white people perfect, but this is why they're treated the way they're treated. They haven't been enveloped into whiteness yet. And that's a great thing that Tampa Bong is bringing up. So get a list. He says, so we get a list of distinctions like this: animal, Anglo-Saxon, Old English, cow, pig, and or swine, sheep, deer, meat, old, mutton, venison, veal. So they changed the language. They changed the language for class. And then when you don't speak in that language, and if you see in this TV show, they immediately know, because you might appear to be white. You might appear to be white. You have the appearance of whiteness. But as soon as you open your mouth, I know you're not white. Ain't that some shit? I know you're not white. You eat mutton. Let's go back to the salmon, because this is a powerful commentary.
They were able to dip water out of it, and that's what played a big part in saving that community.
CAL FIRE, however, signed off on the removal project in a federal report.
Do you feel like you're fighting a losing battle?
I fear for the consequences when the dams come out, the flooding, the sediment, the 20 million cubic yards of sediment coming out, the loss of value to property homes. And I'm worried that once the hoopla is done, this county will be left holding the bag for the consequences.
The loss of value. Hey, y'all, didn't I just talk about that? It's not a loss of value, it's a transition of value. This is the disappearing of whiteness. This is the whiteness that we're talking about. This is why his story exists. This is the disappearance of that privilege and power and positioning, right? So that the land can survive. For so long, whiteness has crippled the ability for the land to thrive. Now, whiteness is dying out. This is an old white man. You don't have young white man in this county. You don't have young white men, period. We're not making new young white men. That's the evaporation, the erasure. That's what's occurring. So in order for the land to move forward, for whoever to be here, they tapping into this indigenous knowledge. And it's not an erasure of the finances. It's a removal or what's a good word, y'all? The transition. Because the value, as me and Tampa Bong has pointed out, is not leaving. I think the value will be greater once you open up the dams. It just won't be a white enclave benefiting from it. Now it will be the Yurok people benefiting from the abundance of the salmon and the beautiful scenery in the land. They will benefit in the same way the white oppressor who took this land from these indigenous, they goddamn land. It's they goddamn land. Fuck you and your fucking property value. You're a guest. And you took it. You ain't even supposed to fucking be here. Goodbye. Go back to fucking Ireland or some shit. Fuck. You don't care about lives. He don't care about children who are hungry. He doesn't care about what indigenous means. That you a guest. All he care about is white privilege and white power. And whiteness tells him that this is his land, his country, and he has more of a right to it than the indigenous people who still live on it. And fuck them and their kids. As an American, do you hear his American arrogance? The water should be dammed up as a backup plan for this white community, and the lakes that are created from the dam benefit our housing property fucking values. Fuck those indigenous people and whether they eat or they're able to proliferate. My property value gonna go down. He ain't mentioned the health and well-being of human beings one time. Disgusting. His story. It's all over everything we talking about today, Tampa. His story. This is what the fuck it is right here. This is his story right here. He don't give a fuck about the indigenous story. His story is, I need that water in case there's a fire and to make my home worth more money. That's his story.
The negative consequences of it. That everybody else wash their hands of it, and we'll have to live with it for generations.
For Frankie and Molly, and so many more in the Yurok tribe, the dam removal means literally bringing life back to the river that they rely on so much.
Salmon are a keystone species for the survival of this ecosystem that we're a part of. And if there ever comes a time when there's no more salmon in the river, then our ecosystem will have failed completely and won't be able to sustain our life here on this world.
And that is not just for the Yurok tribe.
Absolutely.
That is for humanity as a whole.
As a whole, 100%.
And that's not an over-exaggeration. I use fish fertilizer in my farm. So what he's saying is, when I talk to you about the Central Valley providing 80% of the globe's greens and how the ecosystem of Northern California works in California Central Valley, without these salmon and these rivers flowing, you don't get the production to feed the people of the globe, which is what we do in California. They're not doing this because they want to be nice to Native Indians. This is not about being nice to the Native people there. Those white people would have won. His story would have won out. This is about what we grow and what people don't know about California and its food production and its distribution globally of what produces here, and how the salmon in the rivers that you hear about affect that growing. That's what this is about. Hey, there go my baby. I know she gonna like this story. This is very powerful stuff. We be on this type of shit. And we gonna travel when we blessed enough to be here. So when those dams get blown up, we gonna go see that, and we gonna go fuck with that river. I don't know how, if they let people who are not part of the tribe, if you gotta pay or whatever they gonna do, but I'm sure they're gonna have some tourism to help raise money for the tribe. But that's gonna be a beautiful thing, and we'll be able to benefit from fresh salmon. Imagine that. I mean, think about that, Wood. We got fake meat right now. I mean, not even fake meat like in a not even fake meat like in a hocus pocus type of way. But I mean, we really got like Bill Gates and people investing in creating alternate versions of meat, right? And this would be creating an opportunity for an abundance of fresh organic salmon, and we have a shortage of that right now. It's like almost a gold rush. I can't believe the narrow-mindedness of this person in this community, how he can't see. It's like a gold rush in 2023 going forward to have something like that in California, to have a source like that, fishery like that. The only problem I see that they might have is that they can't control it. The only thing I see them upset about is they can't control it, but I don't see anything I mean, in a time when we're dealing with water and then water, how it will create more fresh water. Oh man, it's just everything right now that is hyper importance. This is a big deal, and I don't hear nobody talking about it, so I just wanted to bring that up. So we could go to Larry Elder for a little while, y'all, and then I'm getting hungry. Damn, this fucking watermelon. I wish they had some meat in it. Now I know. I know why you got. Like I don't eat pork, but doing this watermelon shit. Now I know why you might why you might wrap some prosciutto around a melon. Because I never understood that. Like you see that at the parties, they have a prosciutto wrapped around the melon, and that's supposed to be like, and I like, nah, man, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, back to Temple. You show your level of class, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta know how to code switch. This is what Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, man. When you in these parties, in these circles, man, these people are listening to you, man, the way you talk, your vernacular, all of the things that Temple Bong brought out, and they are judging you. This the whole turn, you know, where they say you're ghetto, you're acting ghetto. This is what Temple Bong is talking about. This is what, when you say certain things, they're gonna be like, okay, he's ghetto. Because you don't use the right words in this setting, right? So, man, they have the melon wrapped with prosciutto. Now, this is a very good, you know, establishment. We in some high class shit, you know. It's some baddies around, and I don't give a fuck, man. I don't give a fuck how expensive and how rare and all this shit, man. That who the fuck wraps bacon and melon together? Get the fuck out of here, man. Y'all so weird, man. I know you fucking lying. This ain't the appetizer. I know you fucking lying. You know what I'm saying? Melon wrap prosciutto, you know what I'm saying? But as I sit here on this watermelon fast, and I am craving some fucking something outside of this fucking watermelon, I'm like, right now, transport me back to that white party right now. Transport me back to that white cowgirl. Take me away. Give me a melon ball wrapped in prosciutto. I'll swallow that whole tray right now. My baby girl was licking that ass. I'll be licking the whole tray. She said, I licked this ass and I liked it. I would be eating melon ball wrap pause. I am starving right now. I'm starving like Mario and the vegetable guy. Look, now I get it. Wrap the melon balls. Balls. Don't forget the balls. When she was licking the ass, don't forget the balls. What was we listening to, baby? And don't forget the balls. Go ahead. I don't even eat pork. But I get it. I'm wrap them motherfuckers up. Double wrap them. Double wrap them. How many people in the chat have had prosciutto? How many people have had prosciutto for the fire? How many people have prosciutto wrapped melon bar? Or did you know? Tell me you at a white party without telling me you at a white party. Take a picture of the prosciutto wrapped melon bar. They got fruit wrapped with meat. Oh, mama, I want to go home. They put the fruit with the meat. I know you fucking lying. I remember I ordered a turkey sandwich. They gave me a turkey sandwich. The turkey sandwich has happened to me twice. One time the turkey sandwich had cranberry. I was so pissed because nobody told me I bit into it. It was so fucking disgusting. I was so upset. It was like some harvest. It was like croissant. And then another time it was turkey and it had like a pear in it or some shit glazed, sauteed like an onion, but it was like in the middle. So you didn't know until you took a bite and it was like in there. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it was turkey and ham, and like, but I've had these sandwiches at the country club and everything, and you know they got fruit with me. They got fruit with me. Why you put the fruit with the meat? Just stop, bud. Oh shit! I never told my baby this story. I never told my baby this story about the fruit with the meat. Oh man, but she know I don't like the fruit with the meat. You know how they got the strawberry salad? Why do you strawberry chicken salad or some strawberry walnut? Nope. Don't put the fruit with the salad. I'm about to choke. I'm about to choke. Don't put the fruit with the salad. I don't want no mandarins. I don't want no mandarins with my lettuce. I don't want no strawberries with my lettuce. Fair use. Fair use. None of that shit. What am I doing? That's not Larry. I would have thought I was sharing. I thought I was sharing the Breakfast Club. That's me. I look good. On my mama, on my hood. I look fly. I look good. Touch my swag. Wish I would. Everybody redoing these old songs, man. What was dude's name? He was from Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee. What was his name? In my projects, Cuckoo Cow. Was that Cuckoo Cow? Y'all let me know. Was that Cuckoo Cow? On my mama, on my hood. I look fly. I look good. Touch my swag. It sounds like Cuckoo Cow. I don't know. In my projects. That wasn't my projects. Was that Cuckoo Cow? That was Memphis. So let's get into. Are we the new Montel Williams? Are we the new Montel Williams? So basically, what I'm gonna do, y'all, I'm gonna bounce around to all the parts with the black woman, cause that's the part that's getting everybody excited. I'm not gonna call people out their name. You know how I like to cuss y'all out. I love cussing y'all out. But y'all do it to yourself, man. Y'all do this shit to yourself, man. Y'all make me cuss y'all out. That's Mama Shirley right there. Ooh, rest in peace, man. That's a black mama right there for you, man. Or a black woman, man. You date that black. You made me cheat on you. You made me cuss you out. Woo! I think that's a perfect segue into this. Because a lot of people gonna look at her face and her tone and be like, perfect, that's her. That's mama. That's the one who said you made me cuss you out. Shit. Ooh, shit.
Hard. 1996.
Okay. Mr. Elder, quick question. Let's just remove the word racism, since that seems to be a word that triggers, a conversation down the water hole. Let's just focus on the word system.
Okay.
You mentioned that the system was the one that discouraged. And again, we have no problem with agreeing that the family, the black family should certainly has some room for some improvement. But let's just focus on system.
Room for
You said that the
improvement?
system. Well, we're not going to go down that water. We're
Okay.
not going to go down that water hole. Let's get to the question. So the question is, you said that the system encouraged Black women to be single mothers, correct?
What water hose? What water hose you talking about, y'all? Oh, we not gonna go down that water hole. Rabbit hole? We're not gonna go down the rabbit hole or the water hole. What? She got water on the brain. What? Woo! God, you gotta make this shit up, man. Back to the tape. Water hole.
I said the welfare state, yes.
The welfare, the system. So who's in
Okay.
charge of the system? Who was in charge of the system?
Well, it was Democrats that passed it.
And who were
The-
Democrats? Were they Black or white at that time?
Well, at the time, majority of Black people were Democrats, as the majority of Black people are Democrats now.
Not the voters. I'm talking about the system. Remember, the main idea is the word system. Who was in charge of the system at the time? The Democrats at the time, the system. I'm just going to Charlemagne's point about white or Black. Was it white Democrats in charge of the system or Black Democrats in charge of the system?
Well, if you're prepared to say that Lyndon Johnson did this viciously with an intent to destroy the Black family, I disagree. He did it with the best of intentions.
No, I didn't ask you that.
And if you look at the New York Times, which is left wing, the Washington Post, which is left wing, they cheered all of this.
Right. And what I'm asking was it white people? So I'm going to ask again in case my mic's not coming through clearly. Was it white people in charge of the system or Black people in charge of that system that helped break?
We hear you with your blonde hair hatted ass. We hear you and we see you.
Down the Black family. It's a simple yes. Just a.
Does she realize she insulted everybody? Did she realize? We hear you. Does she realize she insulted everybody? Yeah.
Simple question: white or Black?
Well, you didn't have to go on welfare unless you voluntarily chose to go on welfare. The inducement was put there by Democrats, by the left.
Correct. Okay. White Democrats.
Well,
Correct.
most black people were Democrats, and they voted for these white people
Not
too.
voters. I said who's in charge of the system.
Well, who put them in charge?
Was Lyndon Johnson white or Black?
Who put them in
Maybe
charge?
that'll help you.
Fine. Lyndon Johnson was white.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We knew this shit already. I keep trying to tell you what the hell are y'all looking at. Lyndon B. Johnson is white. Thank you. Coffee now. Go, you go, girl. You make him say Lyndon B. Johnson. God damn.
But if your argument is that the reason he did it is because of racism, then I
No.
disagree. He did it because of
That's not my argument. I just asked you a simple question: was he white or Black, Charlemagne?
And you know,
That's all she wanted, baby. That's all she wanted. Yeah, everybody, we knew he was. Okay, let's give it to her, shit. Give it to her, y'all. She just won. She proved that Lyndon B. Johnson was white, just in case y'all didn't know that.
live below their means, they save more, even when they're making the same amount of money than Black people do. If you have poor credit score, you're not going to get a loan. Period. End of statement. Even the head of Urban League, a Black man once said that if you have poor credit score, you're not going to get a loan. End of statement.
Sir,
Yes.
let's just when you were talking about crime, you weren't prepared to talk about disproportion. You talked about how it was more Black people that was doing it, and then you talked about how we're the smaller, other population. The same applies also to the loans. It's more white people than it is Black people. You seem to pick and
I'm
choose.
talking about the
when you want
rate.
to do-
I'm talking about the
right,
rate.
whatever it is. The bottom line is it's more white people than it is Black people. And so if more Black people are not getting loans, disproportionately.
She seems to be hyper focused on whiteness. With her light skin and her blonde hair. Who is this we? Who is this we? Who is this? She is hyper focused on whiteness with your white skin and your blonde hair. We shouldn't go there, right? We should unpack that. Let's keep going.
disproportionately, it seems you only want to apply the disproportion to the conversation when it benefits your talking
I'm not
points,
sure you
which is
understood.
why they say.
I'm not sure you
No, I
understood. I'm
understood.
not sure you understood my point. That's why I mentioned in 1995, when 186 Black people who were not getting loans filed a class action lawsuit claiming that they were denied the loan because of racism. Citicorp said, okay, here are your loans. The reason I wasn't giving you the loans is because we're afraid you weren't going to be able to pay them back.
I'm not talking about
Fast
that,
forward,
sir.
they weren't able to pay them back, which proved the
Sir, I'm not
Citicorp
talking
point.
about that. I'm not talking
I
about
know
that.
you're
I'm
not,
talking about your
because
response.
inconvenient.
I'm talking about your response to Envy when you said more white people get approved for loans.
Since you
I'm
like
not talking
numbers,
about that.
Washington Post said Black Americans have the highest denial rates for purchase and refinancing loans, according to Home Mortgage Disclosures Act.
Because of their
20%
credit
Black
score.
and all credit scores are the same. 15% of Hispanic loan applicants were denied, compared with about 11% of white and 10% of Asian applicants with same credit scores. And that's Washington Post, since you love numbers so much, and I know you do love numbers. That's coming from the Washington Post. That's 2023, not 1995.
I can show you a study that says
Okay. It don't matter about study. What this come down to is what I talked about yesterday. In my version of reparations, beyond the cash payouts that I am definitely for, I said, and the joke I was talking about today was signing up an application versus audition. What I said was the application has to go away. Because what he's talking about in the loan process is the application process that was created and used to discriminate not just with race, but in class. Right? As an American, I automatically qualify for a loan. Just like if I was Muslim, right? I can go to the Muslim church. Or whatever, if you're very in one of these devout churches, if you're in favor of the church, a lot of people go to their church for a loan. Why is that different than my country? If I'm going to go and you're going to take my son to die and I'm going to go fight and kill, I automatically qualify for a loan. Fuck these companies. You force the companies to give loans to Americans because they're American companies and the money is fake. The money is built on faith that Americans have in the money, and Americans going killing and dying and drawing blood for it. So there should not be an application process for the loan or for the money. All I merely have to do is sign up. Because if you make me apply and you make me check boxes where you can denote my race and class, and then you can disqualify me based on my race and class. But if I just sign up and I just say my name is Perfect Timing, and here are my requirements for the loan, just like every other American, if I meet those requirements, then I get the loan. Why? Because I signed up. I signed up. Just by the nature of signing up as an American, this is what a country is supposed to do. Did you go sign up? Yeah. If you signed up, then you would get the loan. Did you go apply for a job? Yeah. If you apply for a job, then you would have a job. Why? Because you're America and it's America. You don't have to apply anymore. If you look at the TV show Warrior, right? When they discriminate against the Irish to work on, they're building the railroads, they building the infrastructure in San Francisco. How do they know who's Irish? How do they know who's white? This is where legacy comes into play when we talk about the affirmative action in the Ivy League schools. Where did the term Ivy League come from? Oh, Tampa Bong. Think about that right there. It's funny, God is good, man. Where did the term Ivy League come from? It's the discussion me and Tampa Bong with his super genius ass has been helping me expound on. Ivy League, it's like blue blood. It's the difference that Tampa Bong has been distinguishing with class and with language in the chat. This is the difference. It's an Ivy League, and the Ivy Leaguer has legacy. He doesn't have to apply to Harvard. Is y'all understanding what I'm saying? I'm going to go back to the Larry Elder video. Ivy League, that's nomenclature, right? That's just a term, right? But the Ivy Leaguer, it's not just an Ivy League, but the Ivy Leaguer has legacy and does not have to apply. When I made my joke today, I said, you got to tell a bitch she got to sign up, apply, or audition. If she a dime and you don't got time, then you tell her sign up. And I'm going to get at you when I got time because I'm a multi-millionaire and I'm busy. I got $1 million on my schedule. Now, she almost a dime and she just about fine with a nice behind. You tell her she got to fill out an application. Now, why you want her to fill out an application? Because she not good enough to sign up and just get up on this shit. I may disqualify you based on your application. And then you, right below that, you have to audition. Even before you apply, you have to audition. You're going to have to do something. An Ivy Leaguer, it's like in a fraternity where you have to pledge and you get jealous because this motherfucker is high level in fraternity, but you have to pledge or audition. You don't even apply. You at the lowest level of what perfect timing didn't explain to you. You have to audition to be in this club, Skull and Bones, this Ivy League white man's club that your black ass for some reason you want to be in. They're going to force you to audition and do weird shit to you. Even if you get in, you know what? You still not one of them. Even if you get in, you still not an Ivy Leaguer because the true members of this clan are born into it. The true Ivy Leaguers didn't have to audition. I don't respect you simply because you did audition. This is the difference in class. The true Ivy Leaguers, I don't respect you simply because you auditioned. The people I respect are here because of their bloodline. They were born into it. That's why they're at Harvard. We don't give a fuck what he scored on his SAT. I give a fuck who his father is. That's the Ivy Leaguer. That's legacy. That's the difference. You have to apply. You have to audition. You have to apply for a loan. They don't have to apply for a loan. You have to audition. You have to apply for the job. His daddy owns a law firm, or his uncle, or his daddy's friend. Just like Hunter Biden. I'll pray you're listening because it's relevant. Just like Hunter Biden never had to apply for all the shit they getting in trouble for. The job he got, the salary he got. It's a different life. It's a different life of legacy, of Ivy League, of privilege. When they say there's no such thing as white privilege, they haven't discussed the shit that Tampa Bomb and the shit that we talking about. Maybe they don't understand what white privilege is. They don't understand what an Ivy Leaguer is. Maybe this affirmative action case helps people who don't believe in his story and white privilege truly understand what these things mean now. Because I think there was a disconnect. Because even as we unpack the affirmative action, Larry Elder, it takes someone like Hot Sauce or Temple Bomb and even Joy Reid, who reminded you about legacy and white welfare. And what an Ivy League school and an Ivy Leaguer is. And Perfect Timing educated you today on the difference between being an Ivy Leaguer and what it means to apply and why they wanted you to check the black box at Harvard in the first place. Why you had to tell Harvard you were black in the first place. The legacy doesn't have to tell Harvard or Princeton that they're black. It doesn't fucking matter. You're legacy. You're an Ivy Leaguer. But on your application, on your audition, you got to tell them that you're black. Why? This is the same thing the Chinese are saying. Why do I got to tell them that I'm black? That's why I said in my picture of affirmative action, the application is gone. Why do I got to tell them I'm black? The legacy ain't got to tell a race. It's not relevant for the legacy. It's not relevant for the Ivy Leaguer. It's not. Hot Sauce all the time say, my kids are a legacy. Doesn't fucking matter their race. I hope people are really getting the application thing that I'm driving home to you, because I know some people will say, oh, he fucking stupid. How you gonna get rid of an application process? Well, rich people don't have an application process, nigga. For all the smart niggas who listen to me and click off and go back to their little holes and giggle, Ivy Leaguers don't have an application process, nigga. You have an application process, just like the little bum bitch got an application process, just like your broke, dusty ass and the girl you want to sleep with has an app, and putting your monkey ass through an application process. Because you don't understand that the nigga like me coming over there banging her back out every night, I never had to apply, nigga. I never had to apply. You want to go on a date? Well, you want some flowers? What you like? The nigga at the restaurant, I talked to her for 2 weeks and she stood me up. This nigga was auditioning. This nigga was filling out an application and the bitch said, no, you can't get the job. That's why you at the restaurant alone crying, because you niggas out here is applying for pussy. And that's the niggas that you listening to in the manosphere and on YouTube teaching you niggas game. No, nigga, they teaching you an application, nigga, how to apply for the pussy. And the bitches is firing and firing and firing you niggas. Because, nigga, this is the whole thing about octane. 91, 87, whatever the fuck the octane is. What you realize is everybody don't have to apply, perfect. If you meet a single Beyonce, Kelly Rowland in the club and she happened to like your dusty ass, to anybody who really don't get this point, if you meet a Kelly Rowland, if you meet a Rihanna in the club and she happened to like your dusty, scary, non-linguistic, uncouth ass, does she have to apply? Does she have to apply? No, she don't have to apply. She's a legacy. She's gorgeous. She doesn't have to apply for your affection. She got it off the rip. Your mama might say, don't date her. Mama, you crazy. Your uncle gonna say, boy, don't date that girl. That's high octane. It's gonna burn out and you gonna die, crash and burn. Uncle, she chose me. She didn't choose you, boy. She chose the car. She chose the job. Uncle, you's an old one. She didn't have to apply for your affection. You didn't make her audition. You didn't put her to the test. You didn't see if she was worthy. You didn't know she was a family-building warrior. She was gorgeous, perfect. What you talking about? The manosphere said, have game and get some coochie. I got her because I got game. I'm getting coochie. You don't love me. You hating on a young man. You hating on a young man for having a beautiful woman because you never had a beautiful woman. Okay. I just need to drive that home for y'all so y'all understand this whole thing about the application process. In affirmative action, we get rid of the application process. Everybody get along. I'm an American. I have to go to war. There's a draft. My son's blood, my daughter's blood. That means I get the loan because the money is fiat currency and the money is built on my son's blood and his faith and belief in the money and the flag and him going to war and dying for it. That's the only reason the money has value. So it's not that MasterCard has the ability to tell me no. MasterCard or Bank of America can't tell me no. These are just little entities. I'm an American. My blood, sweat, and tears gives the money the fiat currency value. So all I have to do is sign up. In the world of perfect timing, no application. You don't have me fill out an application so you can disqualify me from getting a loan because I'm black or because I have a low credit score. My credit score is gold. Why is your credit score gold? Because I'm American. My grandfather went to World War II. My daddy went to Vietnam. I went to Iraq. My son will go to war for this country if required. Blood will spill. We will spill blood and give blood. That faith, that commitment is what gives this fiat currency value. Because of that, I automatically get the money, y'all. would sign up and ask for the amount of money that I want. Like Hunter Biden. I'm an American like Hunter Biden. I shouldn't have to apply. Not to college, not for a job, not for a loan. Let's keep going.
The opposite.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Elder, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and I'm pretty sure everybody who just caught a RICO with him in Georgia, they all had fathers. They still ended up in jail. How did that happen?
Mhm.
Nobody
Well, let
said
me help.
nobody said if you have a father you won't go to jail. And nobody said if you didn't have a father you were going to jail. My father never
But
knew
guess
his-
what you did say,
Can-
Mr.
can-
Elder?
can-
I'm sorry, respectfully.
May I
Guess,
answer?
no,
May I
let
answer
me
his
just say
question?
this. Guess what you did
May
say.
I
I'm
answer
going
his
to help you
question?
because I know.
Let him finish his statement, Ted.
Okay.
My father never knew his biological father. He got thrown out of the house when he was 13 years old. 8th grade dropout, Jim Crow South, Athens, Georgia. Fast forward, my dad cleaned toilets, 2 full-time jobs cleaning toilets when I was growing up. Went to night school to get his GED, and then after that, he went to night school to learn how to operate a small restaurant. Age of 47, my dad saves his nickels and dimes from his job, starts a small restaurant near downtown LA. Fast forward, he retires in his 80s. He owned that restaurant. He owned property next door, plus the house that's still in our family. Not too shabby for somebody who did not know his biological father. It's not a death sentence. You still have choices. It's just much, much more difficult to raise a child on your own. Even Tupac Shakur said, I know for a fact, Tupac, excuse me. I know for a fact, had I had a father, I would have been more confident. I would have been more disciplined. End of quote.
Well, how did all
Nothing new. We've been saying this. Let's keep going.
those white men end up in jail when they still had fathers? The Trumps and the Giuliani. I'm just asking the question. How did they end up in jail? If they all had fathers?
Because some people commit crimes.
No, sir. Stop. My apologies for interrupting you earlier. I just couldn't stomach the answer that I knew you were going to say.
Couldn't stomach the answer.
Yeah, I couldn't stomach because your actual.
Do she know she's insulting all black men? I think that's one thing. I haven't been paying attention to what other people have said about this. Does she understand that when she says these things, that she's saying it to all of us? She thinks that she's in the private conversation with him on a private video phone call. This is an interview. You're dealing in a public forum as a journalist. You are insulting the black male listener and audience and people who love black men. Does she understand as a journalist that she is insulting everybody?
Answer to Trump being what was happening to him with the indictments, you actually said that the system was doing it. You said there was a 2-tier system. This
That's
is
right.
your words.
That's right.
It was a 2-tier system. So when it came to Trump, all of a sudden you now believe in this systematic thing that's happening to Trump. But then when it happens
Yeah, but it's
to
not.
black people,
But it's not
the
about race.
systematic
It's not
no,
about
I didn't
race.
ask you that. I asked you. Remember, I made it easy for you, and I took race out of it. Remember, I said I'm just talking about the.
Does she understand we're all getting a question? This is extremely rude and a horrible fail. We're all listening to you pose that question. And now you're taking the ability away from the listener also to process the information. Unlike me, it behooves me to stop the video because of fair use and copyright. But you, young lady, are a horrible interviewer.
System. I'm just talking about the system.
If you want
So when
to ask me whether I believe Donald Trump is being treated the same way as Joe Biden and is being
No, I
treated the
didn't ask
same
you
way as
that.
Hillary
You
Clinton, all of these
Mr.
people are
Elder,
white. All these
you-
people are white. There's a double standard.
Well,
Mr. Elder, you didn't hear my question.
You said that
You didn't hear my
You
question.
said some people commit crimes, so you do believe that Trump.
That's because you started off with an insult. It's an ad hominem attack, insult.
Governor is accused of somehow defending slavery. He's not doing anything of the sort.
What did you think
Well,
about
sir,
that line?
you were actually one that defended slavery. In your comments, you said that, like it or not, slavery was legal
It
in a
was.
response to reparations. So it's you that was defending slavery, correct?
Defending it and saying that it's illegal are two very different things.
Well, it
Slavery,
was- well, that was a- that was-
slavery,
that was your response.
slavery,
Well, that was
unfortunately,
your response. That was
slavery.
your
So this is a great segue for me. I got my brothers in the building. I see Mrs. Perfect Timing. That's my baby girl. I love you. I see my brother Ken seeing red in the building. That's like the knight in shining armor. He's making sure everything is good for Team Perfect. Thank you, brother. So right here, when he talks about this topic right here, this is a good segue for me because this is a topic that I like to talk about. Let's hear that one more time.
It's you that was defending slavery, correct?
So he's saying that slavery was legal, right? So here on this broadcast, this has been the first year Joe Biden signed the law of Juneteenth into effect last year. And there were a lot of white billionaires who were upset. Ever since Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth law and holiday into effect, there has been little commentary, or in my opinion, intelligent commentary on that Juneteenth law. What I said about the Juneteenth law signed by Joe Biden is this, for a litigious person who understands what just happened, is you've provided a pathway for a great and vast employment lawsuit. What do you mean, Perfect? To Larry Elder's point, slavery was legal up into a point, and the government then made slavery illegal. What is Juneteenth? I don't know enough of us truly understand Juneteenth and the powerful, when I've said we're in a reparations time. Him signing that puts us in a reparations era. Even if we don't have the mind to understand, the capacity to understand that we're in a reparations era. What does it mean by him signing that Juneteenth legislation? Well, if you unpack what Larry Elder saying, that up until a certain time, slavery was legal, Perfect, Breakfast Club. So I understand you want reparations, but it would be unfair to make those white people pay you reparations when they didn't do anything that was illegal, right? Oh, right? That's very sad. The black man said something that actually makes sense, but it's very sad because he's saying you don't get no reparations, you don't get no money, but that's not what reparations is about, but trick that anyway. So, okay, Larry Elder, it was legal. But what happened with Juneteenth? Well, the story of Juneteenth is that plantation and slave owners in Texas got information from the United States government that slavery was no longer legal. And it was illegal, and you had to free your slaves or pay them a living wage. Did you guys hear what I'm saying? And for 2 years, they did not tell those black people, human beings, that they treated like chattel, that they were free and that they had to pay them. So they illegally kept them in their employ without wages. This is why white people was upset when Biden signed the law, because they, at the last minute, the last ditch effort, you can say in a reparations argument is, well, it was legal. It's not fair to monetarily penalize me for something that I did when it was legal. But what you did have is now you're trapped in this, what I call a great litigious lawyer. Like Dennis Sperling is always talking shit. But if these men had true intelligence and were truly litigious, then he would have been able to break down this in the same way I've been breaking this down for a year. I've been saying this for a year. If slavery was legal, and then the government, and you were communicated to, that's what he's acknowledging by signing Juneteenth into a law, into a holiday. The president of the United States acknowledges and says his story, shout out to Tampa Bomb, his story is that black people were kept illegally in bondage for 2 years as slaves without money because the people in Texas didn't tell them that they were slaves, or they didn't get the knowledge. Either way, that is a labor lawsuit. That's 2 years of lost wages for these individuals who were kept under their employ. Now we got a different conversation. Now it's not about slavery. Now it's not about reparations. Now we have an employment and we have lost wages. Now you have to deal with lost wages from my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, and they need to be compensated for those 2 years. And you got to pay those people who weren't paid because you illegally kept them under your employ. And then we got to get into how much did you benefit from their free labor? Because how do we quantify how much you're going to get paid? Well, how much did you benefit from their free labor? And then we got to get into, well, if this is a question about those 2 year period, how long was my great grandmother actually on your property? Because now we start getting into if it makes sense to a judge that I need to be compensated for these 2 years when my grandmother was working there, why shouldn't I be compensated simply because you say it was legal? She wasn't paid. And that's constitutional. Now we get into a conversation. Let's keep going with the video.
Defending it and saying that it's illegal are two very different things.
Slavery,
Slavery,
that was your response.
slavery,
Well, that was your
unfortunately,
response. That was your response into if reparations should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that was a defense on those who were asking.
Well, you would think it was a defense, but it is not a defense. Unfortunately, slavery has been part and parcel of human history from the very beginning. Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. This is a culture, the Western civilization, that had a revulsion against it. We had a civil war against it. And we ought to applaud ourselves for doing something about this. This is a flawed country. It's moving forward. It's becoming more perfect all the time. Today, if you are born and raised in America, if you finish high school, presumably one where you can read, write, and computer grade level, which is why I support school choice, don't have a kid before you're 20, get married first, get a job, keep a job, don't quit it until you get another job, and avoid the criminal justice system, you will not be poor. And if you don't follow that formula, there's a good chance you will be.
You know, the first GOP debate is coming up. And you didn't qualify, and I saw you right.
Well, you didn't say, I've not yet.
I don't like him jumping over that. One of the shows I did, I was very proud of, and thank you to Roger and the Roger Report. One of the shows I did, and Roger allowed me to do it on this platform, I felt it was very important. And it comes up whenever we get, I pay attention to the conversation, whenever it gets to a real important, really high level conversation, I said, we need to do a show on the high school diploma. I was praying and I was having a prayer moment with God. And then I talked to Roger and I'm like, it just hit me about, we need to have a show about a high school diploma. It just hit me about as a circle, I deal with depression because most of my friends have been murdered because of the era I grew up in. My friends, my cousin was murdered, my best friend was murdered. Before that, they went to the penitentiary, both of them for like 10 years. I lost them for a decade. Then they came back after being in the penitentiary, San Quentin Penitentiary. Both of them told me how Rikers Island is these old iron gates. Both of them, when they came home, told me about these huge iron gates and what it was like, how surreal it was. And they were both murdered. They gone. Man. And out of all my friends, my cousins, I was the only one who had a diploma. And I know, I know it was like a struggle doing the show because we have a lot of intelligent Black men in the space, PhDs, college graduates, and it's something about you niggas that get on my nerves. I don't like you niggas. I just don't. Because it doesn't. Larry Elder said this for a reason. And I don't think people were able to digest the point I was making about not getting the GED, but obtaining a high school diploma, which would lead you to all the things I'll be talking about. And how rare it is for Black men to obtain a high school diploma, which sets them up for an Ivy League, a college, a better life, like Larry Elder said. A high school diploma. And I have friends who got a GED, who got all that shit incarcerated, like my cousins. They got their shit in prison at 28. I graduated early, like I was 16 years old when I had credits to graduate. I graduated at 17, but I could have graduated at 16. My last 2 years of high school, I worked a full-time job and paid my rent. Because my dad wouldn't let me take any electives. So I didn't play around. You get 2 electives. I took math and science. I doubled up on math. I doubled up on science. I doubled up on English. I had an academic diploma. I had over too many credits, too many math credits, too many English credits, too many science credits. They pulled me in the counselor's office at 16. You got enough credits to graduate right now. We're going to send you home. My dad told my boss he can work 40 hours a week. I didn't have no free time. I didn't get not one trouble. Perfect. How you didn't get in trouble? I worked a full-time job. I had 2 periods. And then I had to get kicked off campus for good behavior. I don't talk about that much because they tell you that school is bad, school ain't fun. If you work hard, and there was a lot of people like me, so I had to go to a job because this was our financial, but I learned a lot at this job. I'm going to open up a restaurant because of that. I told my wife, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to open up a restaurant because of that experience. It stuck with me for my whole life. I didn't realize how integral it was, that experience, because my counterparts, my Asian counterparts, they took classes at the junior college. So I had people like me who were 16 who had completed high school, but they didn't have to go to work. They were able to take college classes at the junior college to help them forward in their career. I had to work. My family needed the money. So I had to work. But my counterparts got to go to the junior college and take more advanced classes, and that helped them with their college applications. High school diploma. How important it was that I had a high school diploma. And I'm gonna play it again, how powerful, because what I wanted to share with Roger, and thank you, Roger, because he gave me the platform and the audience. I want to share with Black men, young and old, what it meant that I had a diploma and they didn't. And we don't talk about it enough because of our trauma, because my cousin was murdered, my best friend was murdered, all of my friends are gone. So we don't talk about these things because it's be like, oh, you putting people down. But I need the people to understand that all of the people who went to prison, who got murdered while I be alone, they didn't have a diploma, they didn't have a father. They didn't have a father. We grew up in single parent homes and they didn't get a high school diploma. And I don't know if you hear it clearly enough. I'm not talking about a GED. I'm not talking about equivalent. I'm talking about graduating on time across the stage with your parents, and you get a high school diploma and you wear the cap and gown. It's something that they downplay in our community, but it's so pivotal. I'm gonna play it one more time. And we would like to skip over it because we want to sound all high and mighty and lofty. We all intelligent. I get it. I'm a PhD, you smart, and all this shit. And we want to, and all this shit, right? High school diploma.
If reparations should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that was a defense on those who were asking.
Well, you would think it was a defense, but it is not a defense. Unfortunately, slavery has been part and parcel of human history from the very beginning. Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. This is a culture, the Western civilization, that had a revulsion against it. We had a civil war against it. And we ought to applaud ourselves for doing something about this. This is a flawed country. It's moving forward. It's becoming more perfect all the time. Today, if you are born and raised in America, if you finish high school, presumably one where you can read, write, and compute at grade level, which is why I support school choice, don't have a kid before you're 20, get married first, get a job, keep a job, don't quit it until you get another job, and avoid the criminal justice system, you will not be poor. And if you don't follow...
He didn't say PhD. I brought the PhDs to the space. Give a fuck about a PhD. I told you I work with PhDs. Most of them fucking stupid. Stupid lawyers too. It's rare you get an intelligent lawyer or a doctor or a PhD. He said, don't have sex until you're married. Get married and don't quit a job until you have another job. So much game. I just put that on the t-shirt. Put that on the t-shirt. Put that on the t-shirt. Graduate high school, get a high school diploma. Don't have sex until you get married. And don't quit a job until you get another job and you won't be poor. He didn't say you would be rich. He didn't say you have a Corvette. He said you won't be poor. We're in the richest country in the world. Damn, that's so powerful right there, man. I don't know what everybody focusing on, but that's what I'm focusing on. We're the richest country in the world. Get you a high school diploma. Don't be having toxic sex like Glorilla said. Don't have the toxic 20s. You can't, this is not the formula to not being poor. Glorilla is saying you can have fun in your 20s. You're going to be broke. You're going to be broke and single. You're going to be broke and single. Let's play it one more time. Because he said 20. He said 20.
Get married first, get a job. Fortunately, slavery has been part and parcel of human history from the very beginning. Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. This is a culture, the Western civilization, that had a revulsion against it. We had a civil war against it. And we ought to applaud ourselves for doing something about this. This is a flawed country. It's moving forward. It's becoming more perfect all the time. Today, if you are born and raised in America, if you finish high school, presumably one where you can read, write, and compute at grade level, which is why I support school choice, don't have a kid before you're 20, get married first, get a job, keep a job, don't quit it until you get another job, and avoid the criminal justice system, you will not be poor. And if you
don't have a kid before you're 20. Don't have a kid before you're 20. I know a lot of people would say, think he being mean, but he's talking about the ability. When we talk about class, we've been talking about money. We've been talking about Anglo-Saxon. We've been talking about Ivy League. We've been talking about white, blue blood. Not having a child before the age of 20 has a lot to do with your ability to pay for that child and pay for your own existence and crippling yourself from being able to take care of yourself and that child. That's what it's about when he say don't have a child before 20. It's not picking on single mothers. He didn't say anything about single mothers. He didn't say anything about race or sex. He didn't say anything about race or sex. He said don't have a baby regardless of your race or sex before 20. And get married before you have children. And don't quit a job before you find another job. And you won't be poor. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's some powerful, powerful juju right there.
history from the very beginning.
Okay,
we
now
getting money.
I've let you talk, sir. I've let you talk. And every time I talk, you begin to talk and then you say, let you finish. So I asked you a very simple question. You said, if you're going to go after it in America, go after it in Africa. So if we all agree to go after it in Africa, will you then agree to go after it in America? It's just a simple question. Yes or no?
No, I won't, because it's a waste of time. We ought to be spending our time on education.
Next question.
Okay. You told me that I cut you off. Then I try to answer your question. You won't let me finish.
Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you. It's a waste of time. We ought to be talking about working hard, investing in ourselves. Right now, as we speak, there are Haitians in Haiti lining up for a lottery to come into this country. Why? Because it is the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can go from nothing to something faster in America than any other country in all of human history. We ought to be talking about that. Let me just, one more point. 1997, Time Magazine and CNN hooked up together to do a poll on what Black teenagers and white teenagers felt about racism. And both of them were asked, is racism a major problem in America? Both of them said yes. But then Time and CNN asked this question of the Black teenagers. Is racism a big problem, a small problem, or no problem in your own daily life? This is 1997. 89% of them said small problem or no problem in my own daily life. In fact, twice as many Blacks said failure to take advantage of available opportunities is a bigger problem than racism.
That was 1997.
1997. Look it up.
It's 2023, though.
You think America's more racist now after the election and re-election of Barack Obama than it was in 1997?
Yes, because of the election of MAGA, Donald Trump, 100%. Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, how is it, Charlemagne, that Donald Trump got 8% of the Black vote in 2016? He got 12% in 2020, a 50% increase. He got 20% of the Black male vote in 2020. If MAGA is racist, how do you explain that Donald Trump substantially increased the percentage of Black votes the Republican Party got?
Sometimes people make.
So why are you running against Trump then, Mr. Elder?
Yeah,
I'm not running against.
and then he's going to disregard black man as a black man. How do you explain that increase? And that increase was black men. We know that. We are that increase. Shout out to us. Shout out to our story. We are that increase in the Republican electorate. And watch he disregard us as a black man.
Him. I'm running against Biden Harris. Any one of the Republican nominees we have would be better than what we have right now. I'm not running against him. I'm running to put forth the issues I just now mentioned that I've been talking about for the last few minutes.
You know, I want to ask you about that. You know, after 4 indictments, 91 criminal charges, don't you think it would behoove the Republican Party to move on from Donald Trump?
I think that the voters in the primary will make that decision.
What do you think, though? I
have no problem with I thought Donald Trump did an extraordinary job as president, especially for black people. Best economy ever. He did something about the borders. The people that are most hurt because of porous borders are black people living in the inner city, because most of the illegal aliens have little or no education. They end up living in the inner city. They compete against black people with high school or less for jobs. There are about 1 million fewer black people working than who would otherwise be working if it weren't for illegal alien labor. And illegal alien labor, according to us.
Now that's the conversation Democratic liberals don't want to have. Let's go, baby. Because that's the conversation of the warrior. That's the conversation of the Chinese immigrant and the Irish immigrant. That's the story in the television show Warrior on Max right now. Go watch it. That's the story right there that we talking about. The difference between labor and the cost of labor. Who's going to build the infrastructure? America needs a brand new infrastructure. Now you might understand more about, if you look at the way the warrior looks and the way they brought in the Chinese for labor, for cheap, free, almost free labor, and how it looks to you like there's an invasion, right? But it seems like they're letting people in. So if you extrapolate from what I'm saying, are they creating a labor force? Are they removing the ceiling? Have they allowed these people to migrate here in order to bring down the cost of labor in America? That's big. Now we're looking at it very differently. He said there would be 1 million more black people working if it wasn't for this migration. Now, it sounds like the Irish and the Chinese in the television show, because the blacks, if those 1 million jobs would have went to Black, ADOS, FBA Americans, you would have to pay them at a higher rate than in the television show. The Irish men wanted to be paid at a higher rate than the Chinese labor that they had shipped in from China was willing to work. The Chinese labor from China, who didn't have American citizenship, was willing to work for pennies on the dollar. The Irish who were here and who have been granted citizenship wanted to be paid as Americans because they went to war and they wanted a living wage. But the owners didn't have to pay a living wage because they brought in labor from China. And the Irishmen had to look. Do y'all remember the people in Chicago being upset? The Irishmen was hella upset when they brought in the Chinese labor. Everybody in Chicago and New York was like, what is y'all doing? Why is y'all my son needs a job. My son needs a job. Why are you bringing in all these people? Now, the black people in Chicago and New York said, no, this ain't. They are bringing these people in purposely to replace us as labor. The same thing the Irish was saying, and nobody listened to the Irish. Nobody listened to the Irish. You know why? Because everybody benefited off of cheap Chinese labor. Everybody benefited off of Chinatown. They benefited off of Chinatown and cheap Chinese labor. Everything about Chinatown they benefited from. And they didn't give a fuck about the Irish and the plight of the Irish. The Irish got locked out. The Irish got locked out and their jobs went to Chinese labor. It's the same thing that's happening right now. You think there's an invasion and the border wall and the people. No, these people have been told. They told you. How many news reports did you see where they said they told us to come here? No one is really unpacking that. They said they told us to come here. That's why they paying them people money for breaking up their kids and families at the border. Y'all told us to come here for the labor. And now 1 million jobs gone.
Study done by the Civil Rights Commission puts downward pressure to the tune of almost $2,000 per year on the salaries of black people living in the inner city. And Donald Trump gave us the most secure border we ever had. He also supported school choice. He also did the First Step Act, which allowed about 5,000 mostly black men with long criminal sentences, nonviolent, to have their sentences reduced an average of 70 months per.
Kim Kardashian. That was Kim Kardashian, baby, the First Step Act. Remember I talked about that? And Larry Elder going in. Does anybody remember the First Step Act? For people to get, I know my baby do, because we've been talking to people about using it to get out of prison. That was Kim Kardashian. That was her fight. That's why she went to go be a lawyer. That's how she helping people get out of prison. Donald Trump, they passed the First Step Act, saying life can't be more than 20 years. Because they give black men 99 years. And First Step is saying that if you serve 20 years on a life sentence, then you eligible for parole. You don't got to stay in prison for 99 fucking years. Because they just throwing away black men. We can't afford it anymore. It was in vogue. It was modern day slavery. Convict leasing. 99 years. And everybody thought that was funny. 3 life sentences. And the white people were happy. This is how you get to Tory Lanez for 10 years for a crime that could have been a misdemeanor. Tory Lanez got the same charge that YSL Mondo got, and Fannie Willis got him off. No time for the same charge. No time. Let's skip ahead to the black woman again.
Mr. Elder, I know a lot of black conservatives, and I completely agree about the black family. I don't think anybody here objects to that.
Don't disagree about that at all.
I think when you talk about ideology and then you mix in parties and then personalities, it gets kind of confusing. And, you mentioned yourself not to moan and groan, that as long as you work hard, all is well. And I think where the conflict is coming in is you did moan and groan about how the Republicans treated you. You did moan and groan about Governor Newsom and, asking for a recall. You did not leave that up to the voters. You are moaning and groaning when it comes to Donald Trump and how he's being treated. So it just seems to be a hypocrisy. And I don't know if the message would land a little bit better if there was some fairness across the board on Democrats and Republicans. I'm an independent, by the way, and I think both parties are trash. And I think all of us here, see both sides. And that's the part that's just not landing for me. There seems to be an unfairness on both sides with you.
Well, not too surprisingly, I don't agree with your analysis. How is it that I did not leave the recall to the voters? What do you mean by that?
What do you?
You said I didn't leave the recall to the voters.
No. I said you moaned and groaned about it. You said it should be recalled, correct? Correct?
I said Gavin Newsom should have been recalled, yes.
Right, that's moaning and groaning.
Well, actually, it's taking advantage of what's in the California Constitution, which is when a certain percentage of voters.
Gavin Newsom went through a recall. He didn't believe that. There were a lot of people that believed that, so they put it on legislator. A lot of people believe that, not just him.
Sign a petition to recall a politician. There can be a recall vote, and there was one, as there was in 2003. We recalled the governor then, and there was in 2021 when I attempted to recall Gavin Newsom. That's part of our democratic process in California.
Absolutely. Thank
you. He did do a recall in 2020. And he damn near lost. Facts.
Absolutely. We agree with that. I'm going to your statement when you said rather than moan about it a little while ago, you said rather than moan about it, I'm just going to keep doing the hard work. And so I'm just saying that technically is moaning about it because the governor's the son. That's my point, sir.
I don't follow exactly what you're saying. I really don't.
It's okay. I didn't expect you to.
Yeah,
but
I'm a little slow sometimes.
One moment, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
One moment you're complaining about the system, and the next minute you're saying the system is fair. The next minute you're saying it's not fair. So that's what I'm saying. There just seems to be a double standard on you and the system, not wanting to be accountable for a system that Black
do I-
people are not
do-
in charge of, by
do
the
I-
way,
do I-
of not wanting to hold both sides accountable when it comes to the system.
Do I believe Hillary was
all.
treated differently and Joe Biden treated differently than Donald Trump is being treated? Yes, I do. Is that an indictment about whether or not America is systemically racist? No, it is not. Those are
They're two totally different things.
Yes,
You're
yes, they
trying
are.
to merge the two, but they're two totally different things.
I agree with you. There's
But
two
it is
different
still the
things.
system.
No,
It is
no,
still-
we're
it is still
agreeing.
the
We're
system.
agreeing. They're two different things. We're agreeing.
No, we're agreeing to two different things. We're not agreeing that there's not systematic racism because we're not in charge of the system, sir. In case you
Okay, okay, all right,
unfamiliar
all
about
right.
the
Can we?
system,
Can we?
Black
Can,
people have never been in charge of any system.
well,
We're not even
actually,
that vein.
actually, we have been. Take Baltimore.
No,
We're-
no, we've never been in
May-
charge
may
of
I
any
finish?
system. No, tell me, what financial system are Black people in
Okay,
charge of?
let's
What
take-
healthcare system are Black people in charge of? What government system are Black people in
I'm
charge of?
about ready to tell
what
you.
prison system are
I'm
Black people in charge?
about ready to tell you.
I'm not talking about mayors. I already know that talking point, sir. I go on Fox News all the time as well. So let's not go there with that. I said, what system have we created?
Goodness.
Have we implemented that we have been in charge of? Name one.
Is this why you don't like talking to Black women, Larry Elder?
Wow. Baltimore. Freddie.
That was Charlamagne, by the way. Anybody listening, I know a lot of people be listening while they be driving. Everybody ain't watching right now. That was Larry. That wasn't Larry Elder. That wasn't perfect timing. That was Charlamagne that interjected race and sex into the debate. Larry Elder been very cordial and polite to this young lady who has not been professional at all. Very contentious in this debate. That was Charlamagne who made that interjection. Back to the video.
Gray a few years ago.
No. That's mayors. I'm not talking. I said system.
I'm
Remember,
going to
like
tell
the word
you about
system.
this system if you allow me to finish my point.
I'm not talking about somebody elected and doing a job, sir. I asked, what system did we create? What financial
Okay, let's
system
talk
did we
about the
create?
system of one of the
let him
largest.
say his
Thank
point,
you.
sir.
One of the systems of one of the largest cities in America, Baltimore. Freddie Gray died in police custody a few years ago. The mayor was Black. The head of the police department was Black. Number two.
It's not in charge of the system. But go ahead.
Number two person in charge of the police department was Black. All
Still not in charge of the
all of
system.
city council, Democrats, majority Black.
Still not in charge of the system.
Wow.
That's a position.
6 officers charged, 3 of them were Black. A judge before whom 2 of the officers tried their case found him not guilty was Black.
Still not in charge of the system.
The city intendant of public schools was Black. The county super.
Y'all hear that? I don't know how many people have broke that down. It's similar to Fannie Willis. That the police were acquitted were Black and the judge was Black. Everybody was Black. The school, he about to go into the school system that created Freddie Gray. It's the same thing I said to you yesterday about the YFN, YSL beef and all the violence that happened in Atlanta. If you go back to Atlantic Public Schools, that they created those individuals and now they just want to throw them away. And they still haven't resolved Atlantic Public Schools. Let's continue with this right here. This is very powerful.
Superintendent of public schools is Black. The attorney general at the time, Loretta Lynch, is Black, as was the president of the United States was Black. And yet
Still not in charge of the system.
who's in
I
charge of
asked
the
you a
system,
simple
Ted?
question, sir.
Well, Wanda Sykes said when Barack Obama got elected, how are you going to complain about the man when you are the man? Now, from the president to the attorney general to the state attorney to the mayor to the head of the police department to the commissions of the schools in the city and in the county to the majority of city council in that city, all of them are Black. And you're still saying that we don't run anything?
So who's in charge of the
No.
system, Ted?
I said who created the system. I didn't say we didn't run anything. I challenged a lot of those Black leaders, by the way.
Oh man. She did not say who created the system. She said, what system do we run? That's what she said. She didn't say who created the system.
So let's not go there with that. I said, what system have we created?
Goodness.
Have we implemented that we have been in charge of? Any system. I'm not talking about a position.
So she said 3 different things: created, implemented, and been in charge of. So she putting a real long goalpost, but basically he broke it down that we are running shit, and it's the same thing in Atlanta. The school education from the superintendent down to the teachers, to the principals, to the sheriff, to the judge, to the district attorney, to the governor, everybody Black. So the people who raised these children, miseducated these children, to the people who arrested these children and now convicted, everybody Black.
it hasn't gone through yet. We've got a bunch of, in my opinion, this guy, Alvin Bragg, he ran promising to get Donald Trump. And when he got in, he said the evidence wasn't there. And then one of the former DAs writes a book, accuses Bragg of giving. Well,
just disagree with that, and that's okay.
Well, we didn't really get into mass incarceration, but most people who are behind bars because they committed a violent crime against somebody else. And often the Black people who are behind bars committed a violent crime against another Black person.
Well, when I'm talking about mass incarceration, I'm not talking about violent crimes. I'm talking about non-violent crimes, particularly the war on drugs. I was very clear in what I said.
I agree with you that I believe that the drug problem should be dealt with as a health problem rather than a criminal justice problem. But most people are not behind bars for using drugs or for dealing drugs. They're behind bars for having committed a violent act against another person.
Sure, but that wasn't what I was talking about. I was very clear when I talked about Joe Biden writing the crime bill and mass incarceration with war on drugs to non-violent offenders. So that's a different conversation. You're weaving the two together. So we just have a disagreement on institutions versus race relations, and that's okay.
Well, in order for you to go to jail, you have to commit a crime. If you walk down the street,
not always when you're Black in America.
Well, where are the class action lawsuits, Charlamagne? We have all these Black lawyers. Many Black people have gone to law school. Where are the class action lawsuits claiming that a bunch of people are behind bars illegally, wrongfully? Where are they?
So you think?
Man, because I tell you, they got them, the Mexicans got them in California, the UPS class action lawsuit, Mexican Asian hate crime bill, Asian. Where are the lawsuits? Sexy lawyer, we got sexy teacher, we got sexy doctor, sexy teacher, all the shit. Where are the class action? Oh, that's an excellent point. Because I tell you, they got them. They got them. Specific to Hispanics at UPS, hiring Mexican drivers, specific Indian girls in Silicon Valley, hiring Indian women, specific. Where are the class action? Oh man, let's keep going.
Everybody that's behind
I didn't
bars
say
is
that.
behind bars.
I didn't say that. Why don't you answer my question? Where are the class action lawsuits?
Oh, you got need money to do class
You
action
have
lawsuits.
you've had a Black Attorney General, Eric Holder. You had back-to-back Black Attorneys General, Eric Holder and then Loretta Lynch. Why didn't they release a whole bunch of people who are illegally behind bars? Why didn't they do that? You had a Black president.
And I criticize them as well.
Oh, that's powerful. Back to back. Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, and Barack Obama didn't do shit for the Black man. Let's go.
Well, went on record because actually you're right. He lied and said that he was going to fix the crack cocaine disparity. So I went on record. You're right. And guess what? Guess who he works for? The system. So he's just a blackface that works for the system.
She just giving doorways. She just giving alley oops and doorways. He get it out. He get it out. He get it out. Oh, don't blame him. Don't blame him, but blame Larry Elder. So give the nigga who had the power to do something and made a promise to do something out, but you gonna fuck with Larry Elder today. Ain't that some shit?
System at the time. So again, we just disagree on systems and institutions versus black faces in high places.
Well, the disparity has been.
He's an ex-rapper. This is who the hell is this?
Rectified. Now you go to jail for dealing powder as you do for dealing crack. And at one time there was a disparity.
No, you go to jail, but the ratio is not the same.
Well, because the dealers are not the same. For example, there are more white people behind bars for drunk driving than there are Black people. There are certain categories of crime that whites commit.
Mr. Elder, you're
depends on the drug. More whites are behind bars for meth than Blacks
You're just going all over the place, sir. We were talking about, it's very clear.
You said drugs. Depends on the category of drug. Depends on the category of drugs. More whites are involved in meth than Blacks.
I gave you the category that I wanted to talk about, and you start talking about drinking. You're just all over the place, Mr. Elder, but it's okay.
More Blacks are involved in crack cocaine. More whites are involved in powder. More whites are involved in meth than Blacks. Depends on the category of the drug you're talking about.
And I was talking about a very clear category, and I gave you, I told you where I just criticized the Black man who was in charge, and you skipped over that and went right to talking about drunk driving. So again, sir, I have no problem with criticizing Black Democrats. We do that. Charlamagne does that all the time. It's just the imbalance of understanding that even Black faces in high places, even including yours and Democrats, Republicans, just being fair across the board. That's all.
Well, that to me me basically is no different than what Joe Biden just did with Charlemagne, which is to tell me as a black person, I got to think a certain kind of way, otherwise I'm not
And I
black.
didn't like that either.
Well, you just did
I
it.
didn't like that either.
You just did
I
it. You
didn't
call
like
me a
that either.
blackface as if I'm supposed to think a certain kind of way.
No,
You
I
just
said
did.
blackface. I said blackface in high places. I said they're everywhere. You're a blackface. You're in a high place. You're running for president of the United States. That's a high place. You are a
That's true.
blackface, correct? I said so. There's blackface in high places on both sides. So it's just about being fair for me on both sides. I've mentioned
I
three
agree.
or four
I agree with
Democrats.
that. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mentioned several Democrats that I have a problem with. Several, including Joe Biden. So you don't have to sell us on that. We get that. I'm just saying it also happens on the Republican side. That's all. And black conservatives agree with a lot of your messages, Mr. Elder. But when you're not balanced across the board, it just kind of lands flat. That's all.
Whose cocaine do you think it was in the White House? Since we're talking about drugs.
I have no idea. All I know is that it seems to me it should be scary that that Secret Service has closed the investigation without identifying a suspect. What other kind of stuff goes in and out of the White House without anybody knowing about it? But I have no idea. I just think it's bizarre.
Cocaine.
Or that the investigation all of a sudden got closed that fast.
And you think criminal charges should be brought against President Biden, right?
I think there certainly should be an investigation about the pay-for-play stuff that we're hearing. The IRS whistleblowers are saying that they were told to stand down in their investigation. I think there's a double standard going on, as I said earlier. For example, Donald Trump has been indicted for document possession. There is a special counsel investigating Joe Biden for document possession. But his defenders are saying, well, Joe Biden, unlike Donald Trump, turned over the documents readily when they were found out to have them. And if that's the case, why is the investigation still taking so long?
Tell them how they can support your campaign.
LarryElder.com. I need $1 from 40,000 individuals, even if you want somebody else to talk about some of the issues that Charlemagne.
Y'all heard it, man. Put it in the chat, man. LarryElder.com, man. Y'all heard it, man. Shout out to Montel Williams, man. Shout out to Montel Williams, Sally Raphael. What was the other? Jenny. What was the other one? Jenny. Didn't Jenny get in trouble? She did some ill shit. Ricky Lake, all of them motherfuckers, man. I mean, he did the talk show circuit. He had a talk show. He said all of these talking points before. This ain't nothing new. What is new is the black woman who was supposedly independent, and the way black men reacted to this black woman being a journalist, or lack of professional and lack of couth. And I just think it shows a lack of couth for black men to overreact. And this is how they got a viral moment. How did they get a viral moment? Interject a black woman with a black attitude, right? A stereotypical black feminist attitude. I feel like they were playing you, right? I feel like it's all theater. I've talked to you many times about political theater, and who's better to do this than Larry Elder, who's done this, like I said, on so many different platforms. He can do this with Charlemagne all day long. He understands that Charlemagne is a content creator. Charlemagne is creating a television show. He's been on television many a time. He's created media many a time. So he understands what Charlemagne is doing. That's why he didn't get upset when Charlemagne brings in this black woman to create this juxtaposition. Because Charlemagne is playing on the fact that there is this battle of the sexes between black men and black women, and it sells and it gets clicks. This is the marginalization of the black manosphere message. Charlemagne is playing on your trauma. Why not? ABC News does it. White media does it. So Charlemagne is like, this is why people like me find Charlemagne revolting. Charlemagne is saying white media does it, so I'm going to do it. And look how you guys reacted. You gave him a viral moment. This woman they have Just Hilarious. I've never seen this black woman before. They have Just Hilarious on there, but that's not who does. They bring in a new black woman to fit a stereotypical, right? A stereotypical black female mentality. And everybody eats it up. We all eat it up. Oh, look how she talked to him. She didn't know what she was talking about. Oh, look how he talked back to her. It's political theater. He has no viability in the presidential campaign. Charlemagne even said he won't even get chosen for the debate. But if Charlemagne wanted to have an illuminating conversation for the black community, he could have and should have, and I pray he does bring up Dr. Cornel West. Now, Dr. Cornel West has been on the Breakfast Club many times before, but bring up Dr. Cornel West now to speak and rebut Larry Elder and talk about his presidential campaign bill. Because Dr. Cornel West is running for president. Let me find something on Dr. Cornel West running for president. Because I mentioned that to my wife, and she didn't. She didn't know. Charlemagne the God, Cornel West. Let's see. So he must have been on there. Let's see what he's been talking about. Okay, let's go to this right here. And we gonna do some. I'm over time, man. I know I'm over time, you guys. I know I'm over time, guys. And we finished Larry Elder, so we in the after show right now. So I'm gonna get out of here. I know. I don't mean to do this, but it's not my goal, and I know I'm over time right now. But my name is perfect. It's the Perfect Timing Podcast. I've been granted this platform, and this is why we've been granted the platform, right? So I got to do the thing I was called to do. Okay.
2024 presidential race with former Vice President Mike Pence and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum entering the race. The total number of Republican candidates now stands at 12. This comes as two Democrats are challenging President Biden for the White House in the Democratic primary. That's RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. And just this week, a third-party candidate jumped into the race, Dr. Cornel West, who launched his bid as a member of the People's Party. And Dr. West joins us now. So, Dr. West, let me start with the obvious question. How are you running to win, or are you running to get your issues of importance that you think Joe Biden is not paying enough attention to the forefront?
Well, I mean, one, my dear brother, that you always have a calling to win. You want to bear witness at the highest level of quality, integrity, and honesty that you can. So, yes, I'm trying to push toward the finish line. Why? Because I want to reintroduce America to the best of itself. And it's fairly clear that Brother Trump, neo-fascist gangster, not the best. Brother Biden, neoliberal hypocrite, not the best. I want the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., Dorothy Day, Abraham Joshua Heschel, and Edward Said, and Chief Joseph, and Grace Lee Boggs, and Louise Moreno. These are those fighting for poor and working people. Both parties stand in the way of the empowerment of poor and working peoples. Both parties tied Wall Street, militarism, Pentagon, tied to Silicon Valley. What about the 60% of precious Americans of all colors who are struggling every day and month to put food on the table and are hardly doing it, while the 1% is simply tied to their quests for the luxurious life? American democracy not just is at stake, the whole planet, Brother Jake. You know that, man, with fossil fuels. And look at the debt ceiling agreement. We can make a deal with Brother Manchin in terms of his pipeline that will do in not just working class people's spaces, but ecological collapse, given what's going on the East Coast. But we can't make a deal with him in terms of voting rights with regard to the filibuster. That's Brother Biden. We need something better. Where's the best of the country? Not just working people here, but around the world, because the militarism abroad is something that I'm deeply concerned about, be it in Latin America, be it in Africa, be it in the Middle East.
So I hear you, but these elections often do come down to a binary choice between the Democrat and the Republican. Dr. Lawrence Tribe, a Harvard University professor, as you were, tweeted, WTF, you know what that stands for. Does Cornel West really want to help the GOP nominee win the way Ralph Nader helped George W. Bush defeat Al Gore in 2000. Please stop this foolishness before you really hurt the things you care to help, unquote. His fear, obviously, that you would sap away enough votes of progressives who otherwise would vote for Joe Biden and thus deliver the White House to the Republican, making things worse than they would be under Biden, in Lawrence Tribe's view. Your response?
Well, one, I mean, Brother Tribe, he's looking at the world again through these Manichaean views. You get either this or that, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, frick or frack. Neo-fascist catastrophe, neoliberal disaster. Are disasters better than catastrophes? Absolutely. But are disasters disasters? Absolutely still. So the idea that Brother Trump would reduce, Brother Tribe would reduce what I'm trying to do and focus on this unbelievable suffering and social misery of poor and working people around the world to some ego, vanity. I said, good God Almighty, what are you doing? Do you?
Shout out to Nameless, the protagonist. It made me think about how Nameless breaks down blackness and whiteness the way he just broke that down. You're thinking in the Manichaean type of view. Oh, this man is, I love his linguistic ability, duality, duistic, meaning that you're thinking in whiteness and pure whiteness and blackness, right? And it's not. Life has colors. Let's go, Dr. West.
You actually think that the rich legacies of the figures that I talked about can be reduced to their ego vanity when they moved in the electrical political context? Part of the problem is people who believe it's either the Democrats or the Republicans have left out serious discussion of mass incarceration, left out of what's been going on around the world, 800 military bases around the world. From the vantage point of the West Bank, our precious Palestinian brothers and sisters, what does it look like in terms of the bombs dropped by the U.S. government by either party? Same is true with working people in other parts of the world. This is a moral and a spiritual issue. It's not simply narrow strategic thinking of neoliberals who view the world in terms of either Republicans or Democrats. Brother Jake, we will never defeat fascism, which is on the march, by milquetoast neoliberalism. Neoliberalism will only be...
Man! And fascism is on the march. Azov Battalion, Ukraine, Austria, Switzerland. Who you will replace me? Y'all not paying attention. Y'all not hearing what he's talking about. I know it's linguistically perfect. It sounds like some Nameless protagonist shit where I'll be saying Nameless all them $100 words. Niggas don't know what you're talking about. Fascism is on the march again. And look, he's smiling. He think it's a joke. The Azov Battalion is not a joke. The way these white people feel about, I showed you, it was in Austria and it was in Greece. I showed you in Greece, in Austria. This is why Brexit got so much popularity and was passed, because you have these European nations that were predominantly like 99% white, and now they allowed in Muslim and Africans for cheap labor. Back to the Warrior TV show, back to Chinese cheap labor, back to now South American immigrants and cheap labor. They allowed in cheap labor, and now the racism that you see, the fascism that he's speaking to with about Brexit. See, we don't, I was going in on Brexit. You got to really break down Brexit. The fascism that he's talking about is now because these Indians and Africans are now overwhelmingly, and they reproducing. When you got white populations not reproducing because they dealing with the feminism, the LGBTQIA, and they are not reproducing. But the Indians and Africans that they didn't allow into the Ukraine, into Austria, into these predominantly white places are reproducing, and you got all white Muslim towns. And I showed you an expose. You got these all white, and now the Muslim kids are like talking shit to the indigenous white people. Like they got Muslim gangs in these predominantly white countries running around trying to impose Sharia law on white people. And that's what's making the white people and fascists giving fuel to the fire. Like, man, we got to do something. We got to go to war. We got to fight. Because these white men are looking around like, number one, white women don't want to sleep with us. We're not having babies. And y'all then brought in all this cheap labor. I can't get a job. And now the cheap labor that you brought in now wants to fight me. But the truth is, if you look at like the Irish and the Chinese, it's not that they want to fight back because you've treated them so poorly. You treated the Muslim immigrant. Look what they did to the African immigrant in the Ukraine when the war hit. And they tried to force them to fight in the war and take away everything they worked. They didn't think about them as people. So now they're dealing with the backlash of that. And now you have white people in these predominantly white areas. And if you pay attention to my podcast, you would have seen a podcast I did called The Replacement Killers, where they talked about the book written by a Frenchman called La Replacement. And this political group of young white people in Austria and Switzerland who are fascists in the Azov battalion, and how in vogue it is. Not that it's just coming back, but how in vogue it is, how popular and acceptable it is in Europe right now to be fascist and to be a Nazi and to be racist. And we're not talking about, I know Tampa Bong is listening and being like, man, Perfect, you've been going, I know it's been a long podcast. Let's keep going with this, Dr. West, man.
Be a caretaking postponement of the fascism. We got to get at the source of it. That's why I'm going straight into Trump country, my brother. I'm talking to some of my white brothers and sisters who are following the neo-fascist Pied Piper. I'm concerned about your suffering. Look another way. The words of Martin King. Let us embrace one another by accenting our best. That includes acknowledging those who right now are on the other side. We want realignment. We want what my dear brother Clifton West calls a paradigm shift in American politics. That's in part what this is about, my brother.
Let me ask you just a practical question. Where do the People's Party, where will you be on the ballot? Will you be on the ballot in Michigan? Will you be on the ballot in Wisconsin? I don't think the People's Party was on the ballot in all 50 states last time. Are you hoping to get on the ballot in every state or even just the battleground states?
We're trying to get on the ballot in every state, which means we've got to get the requisite signatures in each state. We are in process of ensuring to make sure we get on that ballot. As you know, People's Parties broke away from Brother Bernie's attempt in 2016. So we're very new at this in that regard. But most importantly, we just want to make sure that our fellow citizens get a chance to see what the best of America is about. The best of America and the best of any nation is about fighting for poor and working people, no matter what color, gender, sexual orientation, and not just confining it to the states. I'm talking about solidarity with Iranians dealing with fascists, Iranian elites. I'm talking about solidarity with workers in Brazil. I'm talking about solidarity with workers in Guatemala. This is an international project, my brother. That's what Martin Luther King was concerned when he said the bombs dropped in Vietnam, fall in ghettos and hoods and barrios and poor white sections. We have got a professional managerial class that has turned its back too often, but the plight of the most vulnerable, that's my tradition. That's what this campaign is all about, my brother.
So, Dr. West, I have a ton more questions, but we're out of time. You can see by the clock. Come back. I'm going to just cut and paste, and we're going to ask these questions about your policies and your platforms next time you're here. Open invitation. We love having you.
Dr. Cornel West for president, running a third-party campaign for the People's Party that used to be associated with what they say, what's the boy name? I thought I clicked on it, but so as we talk about black presidential candidates,
before we were using money,
we're bringing you some more black another. So I wanted to let you know, because a lot of us know about Dr. Cornel West. This is the other brother running for president, Tim Scott. Let me get to my brother Tampa Bond comment. Tampa Bond said, "Perfect, to you are good with the commentary analysis." Thank you, brother. So I want to show y'all Tim Scott. He's a black senator. He's been a senator for a minute. Now, what I've told you about before is that Tim Scott and Cory Booker is also a black senator, had championed the Black Lives. What is the name of the legislation, y'all? Can y'all put in the comment? But the police reform legislation. It had the no-knock warrant. It had the chokehold. It basically addressed all of our concerns from all of the BLM protests. It was a beautiful bill, and they said they couldn't get it passed, and they gave up. And they never got questioned about it again. They never got questioned about it again. They just said, we can't get it through. The Republicans don't want to do it. And they said, we're going to put it down. We're not going to do it no more. So when I've been telling you about Tim Scott and Cory Booker for a year, ever since they dropped the ball on the police reform legislation. Remember when we talked about the NRA picking up the no-knock warrant? They didn't want to work with them on the bill, but after they dropped the bill, the NRA picked up the no-knock warrant, and the NRA start fighting and saying the no-knock warrant was unconstitutional. Outside of the police reform bill, they wouldn't support the police reform bill, the NRA, but once they dropped the police reform bill, then the NRA got behind the no-knock warrant, which led to Breonna Taylor's death. All these things are still legal, by the way. The no-knock warrant, the chokehold, everything that you protested for, all you got was Portland 200% homicide rate increased. The ball was dropped by Cory Booker and Tim Scott. And I don't know if Charlamagne gonna ask about it. I don't know who gonna ask about it. But we saw Larry Elder, black man running for president, on Breakfast Club with some political theater. I don't know if you know about Dr. Cornel West. I just showed you Dr. Cornel West presidential bid, and he's running on the third party. Now I'm going to show you Senator Tim Scott. He and Cory Booker championed the police reform bill, the culmination of all your efforts and protests for being all that deaf, and they let it die on the Senate floor. Now let's listen to his presidential bid.
This morning, the Republican primary field expanding with a dose of optimism.
I'm living proof that America is the land of opportunity.
With Senator Tim Scott announcing his presidential run.
Former President Trump and Governor DeSantis, they're not afraid to demonize their opponents. So my question to you is, do you think GOP voters want someone carrying a Bible, or do they want someone driving a bulldozer into the Democrats?
So the truth is that what people really want is an optimistic, positive, conservative who has a backbone, but also believes that the best is yet to come.
In a rare move, Mr. Trump posting praise for an opponent, wishing Scott luck while taking a shot at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, writing on social media, Tim is a big step up from Ron DeSanctimonious, who is totally unelectable.
Oh, I never thought about this. Who could be Trump's running mate? Are you telling me that Trump might be entertaining Tim Scott for vice president? Perfect. You didn't got another bombshell. I did a lot of bombshells tonight, man. Perfect. You didn't got another bombshell. So Trump is backing Tim Scott. And Tim Scott, oh shit. So that's a hell of, and he know black man, hold that tiger. He know black man be wanting to vote for Trump. And black men don't really know about this police reform bill that I'll be talking about. Tim Scott gets that push. Donald Trump, what is it? Trump Scott is the ticket? Tampa, is Trump Scott the ticket? Ladies and gentlemen, we got something here, ladies and gentlemen. Is Trump Scott the ticket? That's a hell of a ticket. Trump Scott, Biden, Harris. Man. It's almost like the Heat versus the Lakers. That's big shit. I never thought about that. Oh, political theater, ladies and gentlemen. We did it here on Perfect Timing Podcast. Let's listen.
It doesn't sound like former President Trump is worried about you.
So the truth of the matter is that I do think that the power of persuasion is necessary for the next president.
I'm listening to you. You're saying you're a better deal maker than President Trump, former
What I'm
President Trump?
saying,
I do believe the power to do is beneficial for the next president.
is that I look forward to persuading the American people, right and left, within my base and on the far side, to making sure that we move this country forward using common sense, finding common ground.
Would you ever try to overturn an election you lost?
No.
What do you think about President Trump's behavior after the 2020 election into January 6th?
We can do two things here. We can have a conversation about President Trump, or we can have a conversation about my vision for the future. I'm going to stay on my future, my vision for the future for a couple of reasons.
There was a historical moment. I think voters deserve to know.
Listen, actually, I was actually in there, so I know exactly how historic it was. But what I will say is simply this, that the future that America is focusing on is what I'm going to provide.
And as the field is expected to grow, with DeSantis likely announcing this week, Scott also taking a shot at the Florida governor, seeming to question his conservative credentials.
But how are you different from Governor Ron DeSantis, you think?
Having an optimistic, positive message that is actually anchored in conservatism and in optimism matters a lot.
So if Senator Tim Scott wins it all, he'll join a very rare club that includes Grover Cleveland and James Buchanan, candidates who entered the White House as bachelors. So I asked the senator yesterday if there was someone in his life, if he even had time to date on the campaign trail. Here's what he told me. He said, there's always time for a great relationship with a wonderful woman, and I thank God that that is happening, so I'll leave it there. And so will I, but it sounds like something may be cooking for Senator Tim Scott. Back to you guys.
Wow, you got all the tea there, Tom. All right, thank you so much.
So he's single, okay. So that's a story behind presidential candidate Tim Scott. And now we just uncovered the potential that Donald Trump may have. He's supporting Tim Scott, so he may have a black vice president, a black person to co-run with him. He seems like he's grooming Tim Scott. What y'all think? What y'all think? Y'all think Tim Scott should take the bait? What y'all think? That's a hell of a story, huh? That is a hell of a story. I was just simply wanting to present to you guys just a well-rounded broadcast, because, I share with you my discontent with Larry Elder and the black man's focus and attention on Larry Elder. I didn't like that. So I wanted to just broaden the debate, I respect, that's why I said today is red meat. I respect the desire of the black men who want to discuss politics. I love discussing politics, right? And these issues that affect us, I think they're important for us to discuss. I just had a problem with the focus on Larry Elder because it's not really anything new.
Black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind.
Thanks for coming today. Are there?
This is a tweet. As I was thinking about my Larry Elder presentation, I said I want to present some other stuff to support my views, and I found this tweet. So let's check out this tweet. Now, what it says here in context, it says, Black scholar destroys white supremacist talking point.
Are there any trends within the Black community, such as higher crime rates or higher illegitimacy rates, that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites? And can those be explained by some dominant social group?
No.
No to the first one, or the
No to
second one?
no to both.
So there's no.
I mean, it's there's a propagandistic mechanism that's afloat about, black illegitimacy and black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind. If we think about which community in the United States has the highest degree of history of violence, That's unquestionably white Americans. Unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States, and they do not have a foundation in fact.
All right, so
Sorry, we need to move on with the last three.
That's powerful. He's talking about proclivity. Can blacks' positionality to whiteness be explained by their remember I said my song, the proximity to power? And he said, no, he said there's a propagandist. We talking, this is the narrative. There's a right-wing propaganda, and you white males benefit from this thing that blacks benefited from slavery, or somehow blacks are more inclined, that because they're incarcerated shows that they have a proclivity to crime because they're more highly incarcerated. And he said no. He said no to both, no to both. But there is this propaganda, this thing that exists in the white male psyche that's somehow there's a justification for the way you treat black men, that somehow black men are more inclined to be criminals. And he said, actually, no. White people commit the most horrible. Let me listen to it again. Just wanted to break it down for you. Let me listen to it again.
thanks for coming today. Are there any trends within the black community, such as higher crime rates or higher illegitimacy rates, that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites?
Are there any trends in the black community? Because you got to listen to it closely. I'll play it again. Are there any trends in this, to a black scholar, white guys asking this, to justify his whiteness and white privilege? Y'all got to check this out. Now, listen to what we've been talking about. I got to get up out of here. I know I done kept you a long time. To justify his whiteness, he's saying, and he's trying to impose this upon him. He's a speaker. You're in the audience. He's trying to, he's asking it like, I'm trying to help you as a professor. I want to help you, black man. As me and Tampa Bong earlier tried to tell you about what it is to be Chinese and Japanese. This white man is in the audience. I'm going to help you out. Isn't it true? That's what he's saying. It's not even posing a question. Isn't it true that the positionality of blackness is due to your proclivity to commit crime in illegitimate single-parent homes? Isn't that why? And this goes to the Larry Elder argument and black people who make the same argument as this white man is making. That's right-wing propaganda. Isn't it true that because you go to jail and you come from single-parent home, that's why your proximity to power and whiteness is? I pray you can understand this. I pray that my audience has the capacity to digest this. Intercourse, exchange. Please listen.
Thanks for coming today. Are there any trends within the black community, such as higher crime rates or higher illegitimacy rates, that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites? And can those be explained by some dominant social group?
No.
No to the first one, or the
No to
second one?
no to both.
No.
So there's no.
I mean, there's a propagandistic mechanism that's afloat about, black illegitimacy and black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind. If we think about which community in the United States has the highest degree of history of violence, that's unquestionably white Americans. Unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States, and they do not have a foundation in fact.
They do not have a foundation in fact. They only exist to justify whiteness and white privilege. That you are in the position that you are in perfect because your proclivity to crime and sex and drugs, thusly creating single parent homes and environments that are not conducive to raising successful children. It's your fault. It has, and then you can't talk about Pavlov. You can't talk about Skinner. You can't talk about the Skinner box. You can't talk about Operation Mockingbird. You can't talk about the project. You can't talk about how it was all a plan. That the welfare program and the family, the whole policy that coincided with the building of these new developments in these housing projects. They were hand in hand. It was a scientific experiment because they already had Jewish ghettos in Germany, so they knew that they could produce a certain type of behavior. So they brought those same German scientists to America, and they recreated the same experiment and said, if you put these black people in these circumstances with these policies, then they will behave this way. You will be able to justify vis-a-vis via their behavior, you will be able to justify vis-a-vis their behavior policies like No Child Left Behind, policies like 3 strikes you're out, policies like the drug bill that said crack and disproportionate time is given for crack and cocaine. You will be able to justify those policies by their behavior that you were able to predict, and you will be able to build private prisons based on that behavior, the predictability of that behavior. What he's saying is, no, that's a right-wing propaganda. There is no correlation to blacks in crime and blacks in illegitimacy rates. And that we are more inclined to commit crime than anyone else in America. And that we are more inclined to have single parent illegitimate homes than anyone else in America. That's a lie. If you're asking me, because he didn't ask him who was the most violent, but that's how he answered him. If you're asking me that we're more prone to violence, thusly, that's why we're more incarcerated, because that's what Larry Elder was saying. If you're asking me that are black people inherently violent, more prone to violence, thusly resulting in more incarceration, and thusly same adverse and what's the court and chorously, their single parent homes are, i.e., illegitimate status. I bring this up all the time. We don't talk about bastards. When I be on my manosphere shit, I tell y'all a lot about how men with legitimized women, how Tiger dating Black China, how Lil Wayne, how they ushered in this era of legitimizing whores. Because that's what you do when you marry a woman. That terminology is gone, but you don't talk about divorcees and bastards, but you do when you get divorced. And illegitimate. That's what he said. Illegitimate and crime. What did he mean by illegitimate? If you don't understand the terminology, what he talking about is single parent homes. Can that be to blame? No, we're not more inclined to violence. If you're talking about who's the most violent, is white people. If you're talking about who has the most illegitimate homes, is white people. That's a right-wing talking point.
Americans, unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States.
To justify whiteness. His story. That's how we're going to end today, because a lot of people are going to say, what is whiteness? Who's this white person? Who's this magical person? That's how we're going to end today. We gave a voice to that shit today, boy. But I don't like doing the long broadcast because I want people to watch it. And then when people see 3 hours, they don't watch the replay. But hey, y'all say a prayer for us. Let's say a prayer on the way out. By heads bowed, eyes closed. God, thank you for your blessings. We come to you with heads bowed, eyes closed, and humble hearts, with a bunch of thanks on our tongue and hearts and mind. And thank you for the many blessings of knowledge and wisdom and platform. And I pray that the message is a blessing unto those who hear the message. I pray a covering over all of my listeners and audience and loved ones and family. May their lives be blessed and enriched by you and your message and the message you bestow upon us. Safe passage to everybody and many blessings, man. I ask all these blessings in your name. Amen.